You can turn on your microphones. I'll call this meeting to order. This is Alpine Town Council meeting on September 17th, 7 o'clock. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Good evening. Councilman Larson.
Here.
Councilman Dickerson.
Here.
Mayor Green.
Here.
Councilman Castillo.
She's
and
on.
Councilman Bircher.
I can see her.
So, Mayor Green, you have a quorum of the council with Councilman Castillo on her way in.
Yeah. Here she is.
There she is.
Just say you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. She's here. She made it.
Okay.
Next is approval of agenda. Do we have a motion for approval of agenda?
Motion for approval of agenda.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the said agenda, say aye.
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 Okay. Next is the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to read through the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Clerk Treasurer, you got the bills to pay report on there? Okay.
Yes, thank you for Councilman Larson for coming in and reviewing them so we can get them paid
Yes.
this afternoon.
Do I have a motion for approval of consent agenda?
Make a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving down the list. We'll go right into reports. I had a report, and I was hoping that someone was going to show up specific. I think we'll probably have to deal with that separately. But really, I don't have a report because there's nothing going on in the town of Alpine, right? Yeah, we were on the front page of the Jacksonville Daily twice last week, so that was fun. Got a lot of phone calls on that, but that means we're doing a lot and we have a lot going on, so that makes me happy in that sense. I really don't have anything else. We'll go right into the engineering report. Kevin, did you want to? Thank you.
Yeah, so for the Kevin Maher, Jorgensen Associates, for the engineering report that was basically a radio read, we opened that bid and we had one qualified bidder and it was within our budget. So we went through all the numbers and it was a qualified bid. So we processed it to y'all so you could go ahead and sign the notice to proceed. So once they get that, we can get their insurance and then you can sign the contract and then we get it out to the state for their ARPA grant.
Awesome.
So we
great.
kind of pushed that through.
Yep.
Let's see, the wastewater treatment plant, the pre-treatment plant that we've got going now, they've got anywhere from 2 to 6 guys on it, pretty steady. So we're starting to get some movement on it, but they're trying to finish up a project in Idaho Falls. And they tell us that they're going to get like 4 or 5 more guys on it. So we're going to get hit really hard here in the next few weeks, hopefully, to get that kind of crushed through.
Do we have a time limit on that contract?
So we did. It was for October 14th.
Okay.
Currently, Cambrian didn't order one pump. Cambrian didn't pay for one pump. And we have a control panel that's late. So those, we're going to have an October 25th date is the latest item that we've got on the list that's critical path. So our substantial completion was supposed to be October 14th for precision. So we've automatically kind of pushed it back at least 2 weeks because we can't get the parts.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. I guess let's keep on them about
Yes.
like when they ship that pump.
yes. It's every week we have a meeting and every week I've got it on 3 different spots of the meeting minutes.
Yep.
So it's pretty important.
Just so everyone knows and at home, when I first started this pre-treatment plant, I was told like, we'll have it done by the end of the summer, we'll have it done by the fall, and then it's turned into, here we are. fall of 2025, trying to get that thing
Yeah.
finished. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we're just trying to get it across the finish line.
Yep, exactly. Get across the
Turned
finish
off.
line, make it work, make
Yep.
all the controls work. Yes.
Yep.
So, and then we did a little bit of like impact fee kind of study stuff, just to kind of see what was out there, the big items.
Right.
So from last month's meeting, for a new wastewater treatment plant, the budget in today's dollars, if we double the size, is like $21 million. So that's a pretty big number. For all the water infrastructure that we've kind of talked about, trying to get the mega well connected, get a bigger well on the mega well, get the controls to where they're all tied in, get the tank valve to where we can maximize the tanks up on top of the hill, that was like $1.3 million.
Okay.
So there's some pretty big chunks there, but,
And that's if we did it tomorrow,
right,
right?
yeah, so. And then, let's see, the road annexations, we looked at that County Roads 100 and 101. We gave a price of about $140,000 for repairs of the current roads as they are to kind of bring them up to good repair. And then about $20,000 a year in yearly maintenance, less the snowplow because that's kind of a
Yeah.
random thing. So those are the big items that we went through this month.
Sounds good. Any questions for Kevin?
All right,
Thanks, Kevin.
cool, you're welcome.
Mo, are you here for planning and zoning? Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Melissa Wilson for the Planning and Zoning. We didn't have a whole lot with our meeting. We had a couple of folks come in and want to discuss some upcoming projects coming up, just the conceptual plan and what it looked like, how it would fit on their building envelope and whatnot, and went through our permits. And we have some rebranding on some of the facade out at K&J's. Had a couple questions we need to get resolved with that, and I think other than that, it was kind of quiet, to be honest with you. It was a nice quiet meeting to where we were able to get some real business done as well. Not that anything we're doing is
Right.
not real business, but to actually go through some other stuff we had to get done.
Sounds good.
You good?
Any questions for Mo?
Did you have any higher density projects that crossed
Higher
that?
density, nothing that's come across. I mean, there was just some conversations that we've had about some upcoming maybe projects, but this is like wishing, wanting, and wagging right now. So it's not anything that I feel the need to proceed or let the town council, oh, hey, there's a multi-megaplex that's coming up. There's nothing like that that I'm aware of. This is just conversations of, if we annex this land, what are we going to do here? What about this? What can we do with that? That kind of stuff. So
Okay.
it's nothing too drastic, as far as I can tell.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Mo.
You bet. Thank you.
Councilman Larson, are you down to just 2 now?
No, I think we forgot the Fiber Hill, just for an update.
Okay, let's do it.
But that can replace economic development. Unfortunately, they are having, as probably don't recall, last month I mentioned that I'd be in Salt Lake at this time tonight for a Wyoming WBC tour.
I forgot that.
Yeah, life, this happens. There's something about a school that happened, something going on tomorrow. I'm here. So for economic development, we'll just give you an update on the Fiber Hill project. They have begun. For the most part, it's been pretty clean. They've run into some issues, but are still working through those. Again, it'll be a mess, it'll be a mess, it'll be a mess. It'll be a temporary mess. But the fiber that'll come out of it, more for me, the bearing of the power lines for the safety of fire safety up there far exceeds the mess that it'll make. And by this time next year, we won't even recall. So that's going on there. If you have any issues, if you live up there, something goes wrong, please feel free to get a hold of me. I'll get a hold of them. We'll work it out. Alpine Travel and Tourism Board report. So right now we're working either planning for October 3rd meeting or October 22nd, maybe, something like that, whatever that Wednesday is. I don't have it dialed in just yet, but we'll do the usual public notices. And basically that'll be feedback from those who received grants this summer. So we have 3 of them that received grants this summer. The fire district, we wanted to be kind of one of the first to join in their fundraising efforts for their ladder truck. If you don't know, the fire district purchased a new ladder truck this year. The ladder truck, can't recall the amount that it cost.
Over $1 million.
Yeah, and that's just a bare bones truck. So they had another $200,000 to $250,000 to raise just to outfit the ladder truck. We put in $10,000, hoping to kick that off, and I'm not sure where they're at with that. But that was one of the first grants to go. Second was Star Valley Arts Council. They did a little arts fair in August with our car show. The feedback that I received from that was it went really well, especially on Saturday. Friday was so-so, but they had a lot of positive feedback and a good experience. And finally, what we had throughout the summer was our Music in the Mountains on Thursday. Shay, would you like to give a little something?
State of the music.
State of the music.
I think we had a good summer. We ended up with 10 concerts throughout the summer. And then our main goal, I think, for next summer was I talked to some of the vendors, and they were asking if maybe we could do it earlier. So instead of a 7 to 9, we would do maybe a 6 to 8, because then that would get traffic there sooner. Maybe with kids, it might just work out better. So I'd love feedback on that. And then the other one is I want to be fiscally responsible, and I'm kind of wondering, instead of 10 weeks, as much as it was lovely, I might scale it back to 6. Start after July 4th and just go to when school kind of starts around here. Again, we can discuss it, but other than that, all the bands were great. I hope you guys got good feedback, and I think it was a good community time for everyone, so.
Yeah, it was great. Tons of great feedback. I don't think I heard anything negative from anybody.
Nothing next.
So, Shay's brainchild, so congratulations, Shay, for another great summer of music. Yeah, that'll be great.
That would be great.
Is that all you had, Jeremy?
That is, sorry, one more thing on a different board, but also relates to Town of Alpine. I also sit on Lincoln County Recreation Committee. I noticed when I was paying the bills today that earlier we approved the Town of Alpine Recreation Committee soccer nets. And are those delivered? I know we paid for them.
They were just delivered, and so Craig actually sent me a text message and said, these boxes have your name on them. What are they? And we asked him as soon as he had time to get them set up and get them taken down then before the weather turns.
Yeah, he sent a picture.
So, good deal.
Soccer goals. What was happening?
Go ahead. Yeah, please. Yeah. Then all the people at home.
There's bigger things to
Yeah.
talk about. So real quick, Jeremy had made the suggestion, talk to Lincoln County Rec. I reached out to them. They gave us money for soccer goals because kids were using the pickleball nets as soccer
Right.
nets. There is an event this Saturday, the 21st, where they're going to work on the park again. I believe it's 1 to 3, but they're going to repaint and do all sorts of things and bring soccer balls, so lots of events.
Who's in charge of that?
Amanda Culpepper,
Okay.
I believe, is the one she's had posts, but I'll get a post for the town.
Yeah, if
And
there's a
Christina
flyer or something.
Bartlett.
Okay. If
Yeah,
there's
and
a
Christina, yes.
Yeah.
If there's a flyer or something that we could post, it'd be great to have
Yeah.
people there.
So we're excited they came in time and just more for the kids.
Yeah, and this is a 5th anniversary of the park rebuild that they're celebrating and doing the refresher on the park. So that's exciting. That's been 5 years. I know.
Yeah, it's awesome. Is that all you have?
Now I believe I'm.
Now you're done? All right, well, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize a local celebrity we have, Maria James. Can you come up and, Maria, come on up. Okay, so let me give you a little background. Maria is the chef who won the chili cook-off at the chili cook-off at it was Mountain Man Days, and Maria gave me some guff because after that amazing event, she received a what did you receive?
Congratulatory letter.
A congratulatory letter
newspaper.
from Senator Barrasso. So then, I mean, this is how important she is. So then, I hear, she's like, oh, and I didn't get anything for the town of Alpine. My friend's the mayor, and I didn't even get anything. So here, I'm here to present you with Alpine Mountain Days 2024, Carlos Stone's annual chili cook-off, Maria Fugazi James, first place award. Thank you so much. Good job, Maria. I'm so happy that that came up because we definitely want to start to recognize people more often that do those things. So we've been waiting for Maria to show up to an event for. We definitely want to hear from you, Maria, but that was important as well. So anyways, thank you, Maria. All right, so we'll go on to action items unless there's any other reports. All right, first things first, we have the Alpine Charter School letter of intent to lease town property. So let me give just a quick background. We had an amazing meeting last week and many of you attended it, so it's great to see everyone again. Coming away from that meeting, it kind of struck me that the charter board could probably benefit from something from the town of Alpine leading into their meeting tomorrow night. And just something and that would say the town and the charter board are, kind of looking to work together. So a letter of intent was, in my mind, the easiest way to do that. And we have a letter of intent that was drawn up by our town attorney, Mr. Sanderson, and we can bring it up here. I know there's I just kind of want to go over it, and I know there's things that people may want to add to it or take away, and this would be our chance to do it. So in general, if you don't mind, Mr. Sanderson, do you want to just tell us in general I have the letter, your original letter up here, but what you think should be in the letter?
Well, basically what I thought, I have blanks here because I didn't know the name of the entity. I was provided with that later on in the day. Today, that it is the Alpine Education Council, Inc. Still is yet to be organized with the state of Wyoming, but I guess that they're getting on that. But I think it needed to just basically express that we're willing to get into a negotiation with the Education Council to lease a parcel of property. I'm told it's the parcel on the bench, which doesn't give me, I know where it's at now, but that's not a legal description, but I don't know that that's completely,
Right.
I guess, fatal to this. But so it just basically says, look, we're going to do this, or we're willing to get into this, but there are some things that we need to do, basically due diligence on both parties' part, resolution of any technical zoning access or infrastructure issues, traffic studies, and we also would like a provision of the economic and conceptual plans from the Education Council so that we know what they're doing and what they're planning on doing and whether or not this is going to be feasible or economically pencil out for them in the long run. So we're not just left with a building or a building that's in partial progress. The other thing I thought was important is that the town's not going to be applying any money to this. This is just, we're going to be doing a nominal lease for the property, but it will revert back at the end of the lease to the town. So those are the things I added in. I sent it out to members of the council to throw their things in if they want to, and I think that's up for you guys to discuss, because that's a political question more than a lot of legal questions, but it covers, basically the information is we're willing to do this, but there's some details that need to be worked out. Thank you.
So I think what I would like to see is that we get a motion to put it on the table, and then if there's specific things that we'd like to add as a town council, if you think it's all right, Mr. Sanderson, we could almost start like a consent list, and then we could vote on them individually to be added to the list.
However you want, yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
So with that being said, I would entertain a motion
So I'll make, make a motion for Mayor Green to provide a letter of intent to the Alpine Charter School Board evidencing the town of Alpine's willingness to lease the town-owned property for the purpose of constructing and maintaining a charter school.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded, discussion. There's a few things that I've kind of brought up that I would like to add to the list. I don't know if these all need to be included, but I'll just kind of go over them. This is kind of a list from the presentation we did the other day. I think it's real important that we get permission from YDOT, or at least work with YDOT to figure out if, you know, the piece of property that we're talking about. Let me find the town of Alpine real quick.
It's lost.
Yeah.
It's not. It's very
So,
pretty.
I was thinking that we might actually to talk about some of the issues that people address about traffic from the bar or whatever from Melvin being on the same road, is maybe we even add an additional road here or entrance that kind of keeps that sort of traffic separated. And then, like, maybe we would add another entrance over here that was maybe a one-way to gain access to that property. So I think there's a discussion that needs to go on. I don't know if that involves a full traffic study, impact study, but just some sort of permission from YDOT. I think it's real important, and Mr. Sanderson mentioned it in his letter, but just to know, it would be nice to have kind of the business plan, like, how much money is the school going to cost? How long is it going to take to be paid off? I'm sure that information is already kind of out there, but it'd be nice to have that included.
The majority of the survey questions were about traffic and congestion.
Right. Yeah.
So that's definitely a
important.
concern,
Yeah.
not just of Riverview Meadows, but
For sure.
the community in general.
So getting a business plan or financial plan, just to have us kind of knowledgeable about, that would be great. Infrastructure replacement plan would basically be anything that we're taking out that it would be replaced. For example, let's just say the school needed to be right here where the pump track is and the skate park. Like, you would put that someplace else. Or if the horseshoe pit needed to go away, you know, how are we going to replace that? So I'm sure a lot of people would be sad about that, but let's. Next my personal feeling is that town council should be able to appoint someone to this charter board. Hopefully it's somebody with administrative background, something like that. And then really important in the town of Alpine to me is this piece of property over here, 40 acres, that are going to be vitally important to the future of the town of Alpine, in my opinion. So what I would ask is that, and this doesn't have to be a major portion on here, maybe we don't even put it on there, but just this board seems to have a lot of influence in the state of Wyoming, and maybe they can exact some of that influence and help us do whatever they can to acquire that piece of property. And I've mentioned it many times here in the past, but when I first took office, had discussions with the YDOT, they said that we could have that piece of property if we found another gravel source in Lincoln County. So to me, it's very, very important, and this has nothing to do with the conversation regarding the gravel pit and what's going on with the BOR. It's totally separate, but so those are just a few things that I would like to see added to the list. So I'm open to discussion about that. Does anyone else have any thoughts? Not on my list necessarily, but any other suggestions?
I was going to start at the first paragraph when it talked about a parcel.
Let's see. Yep.
Right. So in speaking with Riverview Meadows and looking over the survey answers and to talking to as many residents as possible, it seems that one of the contentions is what parcel will we use? If we, for example, started this in stages and started with a parcel from the upper bench, we would be able to do all of our due diligence with traffic studies, and then we could actually figure out a number on enrollment. And that ties in a lot with how this investment works, because historically, how these charter management companies come in, and Dave, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understand APA correctly, their structure, they take a percentage of every student's enrollment. So it's critical for us to be able to support them with legitimate enrollment numbers. It also shows the district, if we have a successful school, let's say that's K through 3, K through 4, whatever the community and the charter school decides, then that's evidentiary support that we do have capacity issues at the district level, and it gives us a lot more clout when we ask them to give us a school for upper grades. So it's just an idea starting with a smaller parcel, especially since a lot of the suggestions that I saw on the survey, they surrounded the lower bench parcels and how we would make that work as a community. So there's no reason why we can't start this in stages. I think that saying a parcel is something that we could then investigate more with, I think your suggestion, which was the master plan. We start with education first, which is the most important.
I think one suggestion would be kind of the way we wrote the motion, and that Mr. Larson, Councilman Larson made, which said willingness to lease town-owned property. It's not specific to one lot, or, I think it's, eventually we're going to have to enter into a lease with them. So, would that be a suggestion that you would be willing to do, where it says lease a parcel of property, just to make it town?
An upper bench?
Well, I don't know if we
Parcel.
even make it specific. We
Okay.
just say that town-owned property.
I think that all comes to fruition through the discussions and the discovery and the research going forward.
Right.
After,
Like how much land, right?
yeah, I mean, first we have to get awarded a charter.
Right,
Then we can figure out the land and we can figure out all the other questions after that.
right.
That's why it says a parcel of property owned by the
So that's essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on one second. Oh, you'll get right. Yep. Then, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
So moving down for after infrastructure issues, I wanted to add safety barriers and HEPA system. This basically takes precedence because if the gravel pit does move through with this expansion, and I've talked to Idaho DEQ and Wyoming DEQ, they're still in the environmental impact phase of this. But if this does move forward, then safety is going to be of the utmost importance, and we need to make sure that our children are protected, not just from the river and the bench and the cliff and all of those aspects, but from the gravel pit, the crystalline silica as well. So I just want to make sure that's top of mind and we start thinking about that. I know we're going to work through a lot of the regulations and the contingencies, but if we're going to talk about traffic studies and safety studies, then that needs to be included, in my opinion.
Okay. I should also mention that I've been in discussions with Dave and Councilman Larson that maybe a way that we could keep things moving forward and give us time to do our due diligence is look at the option of having temporary school trailers set up, because you could easily get up and going by next fall if that was something you were interested in. I think there's a couple things that gives you the opportunity to right away start to take, after we get the charter, that gives you the option to start taking reservations or whatever it be, start to get a real feel for how many people would be interested. And then you can build out the temporary solution, and then that's like step one. I think you could be up and going relatively quickly with that, and gives us the time to
It
do
gives
our
the
due
town the
diligence.
time to look at any infrastructure needs as well.
For sure.
And then we could, I know one of the reservations was, could we bid that out to local contractors? That would also give the option to our community and small businesses to have a say in that.
Yeah.
Who would oversee that site plan and the architectural design process? Would that be Alpine's Architectural Review Board?
I don't know for sure on that. That's a good question. My initial feeling is the Architectural Review Committee is I think they're going to be setting their first meeting for Monday, September 30th. And then they are tasked with developing the guidelines for the commercial buildings going forward. So I don't know if necessarily they'll be working with them directly, but maybe there is some sort of tie-in to kind of, this is what the Architectural Review Committee is maybe going to propose in trying to work with them. I think that's really smart, because we don't want to put a building up that may not fit into this thing that we're doing at the same time, the look. So
Right.
that's a good suggestion. I don't know officially how that would work. I've also told Dave that I'd be more than willing to sit on the design committee with my background in design. So then maybe we can take out one level of, we're not going to mess something up and then present it to town council necessarily. So I'm more than happy to sit on that committee. But there was a few things, Councilman Larson, that you wanted to add to the list. Do you want to go over those right now?
Councilman Castillo, you only hit the first or second paragraph.
Was there more
I
things?
did,
I'm
oh,
gonna
no,
let you
my
finish.
only other suggestion ties into that, and I just want to make sure that there's open communication with the governing board, and that's more to help with the process, due diligence, and just make sure that we're engaging our community, talking about site plans and architecture. And so for me, I just wanted to figure out how we could tie that in a little bit closer and make sure all voices were being represented as we move forward.
Do you have a suggestion on how we could change the letter of intent?
My question was, how do we as the town of Alpine establish oversight over the charter school application board? The goals of this entity would be to help guide the process, ensure transparency of all stages and financial elements, and engage the community for input, architectural site plan, proposed new traffic pattern. It's just a suggestion, and we can start thinking about how to work that.
Maybe we can tweak some of the language in the,
Not oversight as in overstepping, just oversight as in community involvement.
I think it's almost just like communication and working together, however we put that in there.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I have a question. So, and hopefully, maybe you guys or somebody who's going to be on the governing body can answer it. Is the criteria for a charter school governing body different than like for Lincoln County School District number 2 governing body? Because there's a level of transparency, meetings, notices, all the very same things that we are bound by. You know, the board can't all call a meeting without it being public. Are those criteria necessary in this charter school board, or does that not fall under the same rules of engagement?
I don't think it does.
Okay.
Dave, you may know more than I do. I see it as a not-for-profit corporation,
Okay. Okay.
and so, I mean, it would
Is
be
it-
in their best interest to.
Yeah. So then my suggestion would be, if it doesn't, perhaps, because I think all of you you guys have been wonderful. The town really appreciates all of your efforts in coming and meeting last week. We have gotten such wonderful feedback about that meeting. It was really appreciated by the town and the townspeople in the surrounding communities. Maybe because as a corporation, you will build your own rules. And maybe you can take that into consideration as the governing body builds the structure to just build in that transparency. And I think that would long-term satisfy some of that if they set up, I'm not saying the same, because sometimes the requirements that we have to do just to
I think
get an
that's
answer
a
on
very good
something,
point.
but they could build that into your rules.
I think that's a very good point, and maybe that's something that we need to talk to these guys about and see if they'd be able to do. But basically, just having open public meetings where you feedback and stuff like that.
Yep, so, Mayor, Council, Dave Jenkins for the record. Yeah, there's going to be, state has a criteria for us for budget, for guidelines, for everything. It will be, Dan Dockstarter's here to vouch, but yeah, this is a public school, and there'll be a lot of criteria required from them. And just in the heart of the lease tonight, thank you for getting this. We do need to, I'm hoping we can get something signed tonight that we can take to tomorrow and give to Dan Dockstader a copy tonight, and take it to our meeting tomorrow to the Charter Authorization Board. And it's a letter of intent, so there's going to be some gray area on this letter that we can work out. We do want a when we want to go forward and get this thing done attitude, and I really appreciate that with all you guys. And we're going to want to, check your boxes, traffic studies, whatever we need to do, but we want to, we definitely want to, we're going to be pushing to try and accomplish everything as fast as we can once we're assuming that we're going to get approved here in October, we're hoping. So, as far as a couple of quick things, the temporary school, we've discussed that as well, and the cost involved and whatnot. Doesn't seem like it's going to be we would rather just extend it to, we'd like to be open by August. That sounds unrealistic. If we have to push the next semester or whatnot, we'd rather do that than spend, we don't know, $1 million on temporary school stuff. That's, and also we want the kids and the teachers to have a good experience when they start. We don't want it to be, we want it to be first class operation.
Ghetto.
Not the Alpine Ghetto School, yep.
Not to
So-
diminish that experience at all. I mean,
That was
there's,
my life.
But-
yeah, there's lots of school districts in the area that end up using temporary, but
So I think the letter of intent just needs to be, just that we're going to work together and we're going to get through it. And we'll work out there's going to be Sherbil's on board to help us with lot lines. We got, I don't know if you guys want us to work with Jorgensen Engineering. We're going to want to pick someone to work closely with on that. And I'll be calling Eric personally and talking about what's going on, Jeremy and whoever else wants me to call them. We can definitely, we want to, once we get approved, we want to go.
Yeah.
And make sure we check all the boxes,
Yep.
so.
And we're not here to stand in your way, just so everyone knows that there's been questions of that. We're not here to stand in your way. We want to help you through this whole process. There is government works slow, and I found that out when I first came in. And so we do have to check all of our boxes, but we're willing to do a lot of the legwork to get, the introductions or the communication going with YDOT and things like
And if
that.
we need to do some special meetings, we may have to request that from you guys so that we don't have to wait a month,
Yeah.
with
Well,
the-
and we're always doing 2 meetings a month anyway, so if we need to tag on a special meeting on top of a work session or whatever, we're totally flexible on that.
Yep. So, that's our concerns. I don't know if Steve has anything else he wants to add tonight. We heard you though, as far as like some of your roads, we've already been starting to work on some of the ideas for that and also with the rendering. We've got some imagery that I think you guys would be very happy with, for the look of the building. So we heard you guys on that and we heard the people on that stuff. So we did hear you and we are wanting to work and get it, we want something beautiful for the town, not just a,
Bach. Yep.
so, other than that, I think, any details on this?
Did you receive this letter before, or have you read it?
I haven't studied it yet.
Okay.
Yep, no.
Do you mind just sitting down and
Yep,
making sure?
yep.
Yeah. Monica has a
I
copy
have a
there for you, Dave.
I have the whole packet.
May I ask
Yes.
Dave a question? Do you have a problem with a member of the governing body being on that board?
To answer that question, that's why I am on the governing board.
Okay.
Well,
They reached out to me wanting, my initial, yes, I'll help you out, but that is their intent, and that's
Okay,
what I had.
to keep going, there would always be a representative from the town appointed on that board. Is that okay?
that, the appointment is go ahead, Dave.
Oh, just to clarify, there is going to be 2 boards, and also the one board that the lease will be with is called, Kevin Boyle's Alpine
Education Foundation.
Education Foundation. Is that Inc. or just incorporated? Alpine Education Foundation Incorporated that's going to be the one nonprofit that's for the facility, and then we're going to have another nonprofit for the school. So there will be 2 ongoing boards.
Okay. My point is, in the word that I want everyone to realize is appointment. I mean, yes, you guys appointed Councilman Larson to that board, but I want to make sure going forward, it says in the lease that this governing body appoints someone to.
And you guys would like to have someone on the Alpine Community
school
Foundation. There's 2 different ones.
Alpine Education Foundation, basically.
Alpine Education Foundation is who the lease is
nonprofit
with.
That has the contract with the town.
Yep, so the nonprofit that has that will be one of you guys. Okay. I
Okay.
think we can make that.
Is that what it needs to read? Is Alpine Education Foundation, Inc.? Is that who the letter of intent goes to?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second board is, can you clarify what the second?
So the
board
second board is the Alpine Charter School, right? Alpine Charter School is the incorporated, Alpine Charter School Incorporated, and that's our operating board. So the land nonprofit will lease the, the facility, so that the other nonprofit takes the ADM money from the state and contracts with, APA.
Okay.
And then, they'll be paying the land nonprofit for the lease, so,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
So kind of how I've been explaining it to folks is take the fire department over here. Okay, the fire department, the land is owned by the town of Alpine. The town of Alpine has a 100-year lease or thereabouts with the Alpine Fire District. Now, the Alpine Fire District owns the building and everything in the building. However, the Alpine Fire District, they do not put out fires. They do not go to car wrecks. They don't do anything. What they do is they employ the Alpine Fire Department. That's Chief Voigt. That's all your volunteer firefighters. They're the ones, the officers, they're the operational side of the Alpine Fire District. So separate, different organizations with the same. So this would be similar. The town of Alpine would contract with Alpine Education Foundation. Alpine Education Foundation would have the lease through the town of Alpine, and then the Alpine Education Foundation would then search out for nonprofits, go to contract with the Alpine School Committee, or Alpine, I know it's clear as mud, Alpine Charter School, essentially, as far as the operational side, and that's how that would work. So the town meets with the Alpine Education Foundation, just as the town would meet with the Alpine Fire District.
Okay.
Right, so we'd always have representation during the process. I was even thinking a step ahead and more, for lack of a better word, a PTA. We don't have anything like that with a charter school. So I was more wondering, how do we get more parent representation, educator representation on whatever the operating board is? Is that the governing board?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that'll be
This is all new territory for everybody?
yeah, that'll be our operator, Caroline, and she'll be at tomorrow night at the Civic Center. So there's a public hearing tomorrow that's important. 5 to 7, everyone watching this online, please come.
Yep.
Everyone here, please come. It's gonna be like this is a big showdown for us to get this through. So we're hoping that everyone comes. But, yeah, she's been very, she wants to have people has kids in the school and parents, and she'll talk more about that in detail, so.
Thank you. Any other comments up here? Looks like Mr. Funk might have something.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Steve Funk, kind of co-lead, I guess, with Dave on this, and a school that I've been interested in working on since back when I went to see Foster Freeze with Kennis and the previous mayor. I'd like to make some suggestions and be a voice of acceleration of the process. You can do what you want. You're a council, you can decide. But I give you some recommendations from years and years and years of master plan and development, and interacting with people like Colby, who I understand intended to be here, in this town, on parcels of land in this town. There will start out being, and I'll give you a copy of this. This is what we call the inaugural board. And the inaugural board is broken into, and it's matured as we've gone along. As one of our members says, it's a ship sailing that we're guiding as we go. But we've had so many members of the community come up to us and now want to participate in this, that the board's beginning to expand. And if you're interested, we encourage you all to tell us of your interest. There are 4 committees: finance, of which I'm leading; public relations, which Jeremy is leading; development chair, which Dave Jenkins is leading; and then operations chair, which is Carolyn Charay. And to answer more clearly the question about, Monica, responsibilities, a charter school has every same responsibility as a state school to meet every regulation, every procedure, every code that a public school does. So the transparency is enormous. And for those of you that know Carolyn Charay, or have yet to meet her, or were at the town meeting the other night, this woman is as open and transparent and as willing to accept advice and input as anybody I've ever seen. And we looked at Academica, we looked at Charter One, which are schools that were cited in positions that could be in this town. She is something special, and as you saw, she has 40 awards to that end. If you walk out this door tonight and you turn left, you'll see a small little kind of cut-in road across the street. If you put up that map, I could point it out. I'd be more interested look, I say this with love. I'd be more interested in doing a traffic study on the dangers to kids riding a bus for an hour with the increase in traffic over the last 5 or 10 years than I would be worried about. Can people see that if I walk over there?
They won't be able to hear you, but is there something specific you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, by the way, Mayor, your entry is spot on. That entry can create a divergence where there is no traffic into any residential, which are the townhouses. You don't go in front of CDC, you don't go in front of the library, and you scoot over to that parcel of land. And my recommendation to council, as was laid out in the master plan that Colby Cox presented, is that you dedicate the 23 acres that have been laid out now. I would not get caught up in lot lines and parcels, because we can deal with all of those things. If there's a will to get this done, there's a will and an easiness to deal with those. But then we know, and this town knows, and the people of this town know, that what is destined, in my opinion, to be a significant success, first of all, because of the caliber of the education, but also because we know Teton doesn't take our students and they're overflowing. We know Afton's overflowing, and we know we're the fastest growing county, or one of the fastest growing regions in the state. This school is almost impossible to fail. Now, could it fail? Yes. What happens to the town if it did fail? And there's going to be the cost, and Duncan's here, is going to be somewhere between $12 and $15 million. So if it fails, you own the land and you have the building on top of it, and the building won't go away because it won't move. So you're either going to get it back by default, or you're going to reconfigure it, or you're going to find a new operator that will run it better. But you've got to move on and take that risk. You got to move on and take that chance. And you've got to put the school and its future in a position to be able to expand as a high school without going through this whole process again, and expand as a community recreation center, community ball fields, skate parks, whatever it is that we put down there, you all want down there, but you should set that land aside now. Another recommendation, I would say, I would discourage doing the RFP for a $100,000 master plan. I have the 2006 master plan sitting over here, and I reviewed it today. It doesn't have the hospital in it, doesn't have Brolums in it. I don't think, maybe I missed it in there. You read those things better than I do. But you don't know yet whether the two things, again, Mayor, that you're spot on, is that gravel pit needs to come back to the town, if possible, and certainly doesn't need to expand, because it's not dangerous just for the kids, dangerous for the people that walk into Melbourne, it's dangerous for all the kids that live out in the subdivision out here, it's dangerous for the whole town. And I've said this, I bet 10 years from now, you expand that by 3 times, and somebody's going to create a lawsuit over the lung cancer from particle dust. But it shouldn't stop the school. Stopping the gravel pit is a whole different issue, because it's a danger to the whole place. Traffic study, you know what I think would be great is you hire Jorgensen's, or you hire Sunrise, or anybody you want, and you give them a list of the things that you want to get looked at and studied ASAP, and you just rip through it, and you give it to a professional, third party, independent of us, independent of you, and you let them provide you with the answers, but you can consolidate that quickly. And again, don't get hung up on the parcels. Get hung up on getting the school out there as soon as you can. And with that,
Real quick, you said the word you should get the traffic cert. Do you mean the group?
Yeah. No. You want the traffic. To me, I think kids sitting on that bus so overwhelms turning one street and turning another street, no traffic around you, and out to open fields and space. And by the way, even today, Mayor, we were dealing with, let me see, is that school better upper land or lower land? Because you got to think, okay, what comes next? And what happens if that lower school needs to be, K through 8, needs to be expanded? So we're still sliding around with where it goes.
I guess I want to clarify, who's going to pay for the traffic study?
How many things are you going to throw at us to pay for?
Well, a lot, because, you know, right now, I mean, this letter of intent says that we have no financial burden, basically. And, you know, I don't know how much a traffic study costs, but that's obviously something that,
That's come up quite a bit.
yeah.
We are elected to be emotionally invested, absolutely. I think I can very confidently say that because I am the only one on this council who has a child who is of school age that could matriculate into this school. So I've had a lot of sleepless nights over this and doing my due diligence and research, but these are legitimate concerns that are coming from our community. So the more that we invite our community to have these conversations with us, as you are right now, and we lift the veil and create a lot more transparency and listen to their voice, then yes, a lot of these things are going to happen organically. We already know that we have the needs of lower and upper grades, right? But we also need to see on our end what is successful, what number of students come in, what does the investment look like. So I completely understand your timeline. I think actually this is a very quick, very good first step because this shows our commitment to our community, but also our commitment to you, that we do want to do our due diligence. We do want to investigate all of these challenges and work through them and not use them as obstacles to stop a project. We're all in favor, 100%. I think I can say that about all of my colleagues. We are all 100% go on Alpine does need a school. But these are legitimate questions that it's our duty as fiscally responsible elected officials to make sure that we process correctly, even if the cause is worthy, and it is. But we've already had a little bit of acceleration. So I think this is a natural progression.
And the reason why I asked that question is because through the budget process that we all went through, you know, and did the final budget in June, we're $1 million over.
Plus.
So for us, we to go and say, let's just, I don't know how much a traffic study, let's say it costs $250,000 or whatever. We're going to have to change, I don't know how much. $5,000 for a traffic study?
$250,000, the school's dead in the water.
I figured he was a little high.
Kevin's the engineer, I'm not, but.
Right.
Okay, well, we'll get down.
Usually decides whether or not you need right-hand turn lanes, left-hand turn lanes, because of the amount of traffic. You've got 3 lanes there right now, right? You got is there a middle lane?
I think it's a lot more than $5,000. I mean, I know how much they bill us on a monthly basis just for running meetings. So it's a lot more than $5,000.
I paid for was about $5,000.
I want,
Construction might be $250,000 if you have to build left-hand turn lanes.
okay, well, I'll get the name of your engineering company from you before you leave today. But I'm just saying that for us to take that on, I think, I mean, we'd have to change our budget. We basically, as a council, have said, if we're going to spend over X amount of dollars, it needs to go in front. So basically, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, and the answer I will give you is this: we've paid for everything to date, and I want the town to know and you to know that the school, $12 to $15 million is not coming out of your pocket, not anybody's pocket, not any taxpayer. It's all private.
Okay.
If it fails, it's on us. You know, we lose.
Right.
But in terms of paying for these kinds of studies, if you will condense and consolidate them so they're effectively and efficiently done, I'll commit to paying for them, for sure. But I don't want, I don't want a $250,000 traffic study and 2 guys doing this, another one doing that, and RFPs going out. Let's put one professional on the job who can give us the answers to all the queries that you have, because you can contract with an engineering firm. Kevin? Yeah, and so we can't, if he's too expensive, get somebody else.
Well,
As long as all of those questions are answered, absolutely. We're not trying to make this process expensive.
then I'm just trying to make it more efficient.
Right.
Because I really would like to have it open by August of next year, and by the day, it gets to be more of an outside shot.
Yep.
But Dave and I have gone through this as well, the idea of starting temporarily. Could it happen in the Civic Center? Could it happen in the church? Maybe. But if you go through a process of getting your buildings, siting them, getting water, taking care of your waste, we're too close to expend temporary money unless there was a temporary facility. But in terms of being efficient, back to what's the most important thing is, give us a firm that's capable of handling the questions, and we'll be capable of handling the cost. Fair enough?
Sounds good. Yeah, and I just, even if you hire an engineering firm, I just know how long everything takes. So we just have to be on the same, I think you guys understand that as well. Thank you. That's great information. So, yeah. I don't know if we change any of the language. Hi, Colby. I don't know if we change any of the language in the letter of intent to more clearly state that, but we did want to kind of leave it kind of vague at this point, because we're not necessarily entering an alert into a lease, but we're
Right, this is
saying
just an LOI.
we want, that's coming next, basically, so. Before we get to Colby, is there anything else you wanted to say on that?
I'm just going to talk, I mean, getting the lease, the letter of intent, I think, accomplished tonight is our goal. And it's not our actual lease, it's going to be our letter, just that we have a working relationship, and we're going to make it happen. So I think that checks the box for tomorrow, and then we'll be, once we get our charter, we can work through the details with you guys and get this done. So, I
Okay,
mean,
sounds good.
I don't know if there's, we see something that we can.
I think the,
I'm going to say 2 words for the sake of Colby, because you're a big employer here, you got your business down there, you probably will expand it. First of all, Melvin's gets bumped quite a bit for being too close to the school, like it's way over there, but, you know, K through 8, you're not going to send fourth graders to get a beer. And if you're in the Klingerland, the Flying Saddles next door, but what I've suggested to the council, and the mayor is talking about an entry that makes a lot of sense. I think you want to focus on that gravel pit and the end of its expansion. If not, it's just removal. But in the context of expediting this, you and I have been through so many master plans, and I'm saying if the council will hire a professional engineering firm, third party, independent, give them a list of the questions and let them rip at it and get through this as fast as we can, because I still hold this dream of August of next year. Okay, it gets to be closer to being a dream that won't come true. But regardless, I mean, let's keep our pedal to the metal. I don't think we need to, I've asked that the 23 acres that you've designated in the master plan be set aside now, so we know what the future will look like. Because even today, we're sliding around, should the lower school go up or lower? But if we can expedite it, I've said that we'll pay for it.
I just want to clarify, in the master plan from 2006, it does not designate 23 acres in the master plan.
Yeah.
It designates a couple plots of land, which happen to be,
10 and 11, which used to be 4
That-
and 6.
so it designates this and this. So
Yeah.
that's a big point of contention for a lot of people in the community, and we've heard people talk about it, and people push back, and I'm more in favor of actually kind of doing it in stages, so that's where I stand. But just to clarify, the old master plan does not designate the 23 acres.
And I appreciate your opinion and the way that you would go about things. I have a different one.
I understand.
I mean, $12 to $15 million to build phase one, not knowing where you're going to put phase two, where you're going to put your ball field. If the town wants to be committed to having a school here, because you can have the land back if we never build it. I mean, that's what the lease can say. It reverts back to the city if in X number of years we don't move on to a high school.
It's a big commitment. Obviously, you understand that.
It's a big commitment. Building the school is a big commitment.
Understood.
Every part of it's a big commitment. And it's been a hell of a big miracle that we got this far.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments up here before, I think Colby came to say something. I think other people in the audience probably wanted to participate in the conversation. My goal is really to land this letter of intent soon because we do have a pretty big list of items today, but did you have anything you wanted to add, Colby? I know you weren't here for the first part, but
Right, I can't comment on the lease, I haven't seen the lease.
there
We
is
have
not a
items.
lease. So we're only talking about a letter of intent, which is up here.
Starting the process.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
I think what, okay. if I-
Can you hit on the microphone, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
I want to bring this out again, because there's something, there's a couple things that I think are, excuse me, came rolling in hot from Jackson, so.
Thanks for coming down.
Got stuck behind a car, of course, but.
Okay.
Anyway, a couple things that I want to highlight. So I understand that the town sees, this land that's being, the school would like to occupy as kind of mission critical land. It's valuable land. It's blah, blah, blah. No denying it. But I believe that, no worries.
Trying to do it as quick as possible. There you go.
Okay.
Now we're blocking you.
No, it's,
You can just put it down on
You
the
don't need to
bottom.
see
or-
me.
Yeah,
There's a lid.
there's a ledge
Mr.
right
Funk,
there.
You can.
Thank you.
okay, so I believe that the two of the biggest initiatives that the town, and probably the only the town can undertake right now.
Hey, Colby.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just want to get
Okay.
it on the record. Sorry.
Gotcha.
All can hear you.
Two biggest initiatives that the town needs to take in the next, to me, it's imminent future, is to acquire this 40 acres from YDOT and to gain control of what's going on here in the waterfront. From a planning standpoint, this area right here should be preserved as park, all of the waterfront, forever, ad infinitum. And this potential 23 acres here, while valuable, I think is not nearly as valuable or critical as the land here. And I think the town has a unique ability to talk to YDOT, and I think some of those conversations have already happened,
Yes.
to be able to get that land at a very reasonable price, perhaps zero. And I know that there is a private owner that has a lease with Sunrock here. I know there's Bureau of Rec that has another lease here. I know Bureau of Rec has been talking about going all the way out here, which I think would be an absolute disaster. So I've voiced my opinion on that many different ways. However, I think over time, I guess what I'm saying is, I think the school is an extremely valuable and needed resource. And I think if we look at this from a kind of a scarcity mindset, but this is going to take up most of the land that we have. My call to you is to shift that angle maybe to, but if we were able to acquire this 40 acres, and I'm willing to do whatever, and I think Steve, we are all willing to throw in and do whatever we can to make that happen because we see how important this is, to really define this part of the town. And I've talked to you, Mayor, about this a few times. I think Jackson has made, and a lot of towns that I work with have made some big mistakes in the very early planning of their community. I mean, every entrance into the town of Jackson is, pre-zoning and not very well planned, and it's, the entrance is not that very, appealing. And there's really three ways to get to this town, right? There's the intersection at KJ's coming, from Jackson and the north, coming from Idaho in that direction, which is also that intersection. And then you have this southern portion coming up through town. This right here, you have the ability forever to make this a beautiful entrance to the town of Alpine. There's an opportunity for housing here, commercial, retail, lots of open space, parkland, walking trails, connectivity, everything. And the reason why I drew this is because then it becomes very obvious that the school does fit very well here into the greater context of this plan. And it's actually a fairly small footprint relative to what else is out there. So my only, I guess, appeal that I'm trying to make tonight is, let's get this school going. And I 100% understand that, you know, you guys have to protect yourselves and put certain conditions and they have to perform and everything else. But I also understand that these guys need to know that they've got some runway. You know, so if they put $12 or $15 million into a lower school, that they can reasonably expect that they can also expand into a high school if it's, you know, successful. That seems like a legitimate concern. And if we really wanted to get our pitchforks out and go lobby for something right now in a meaningful way, I would go after that.
That was one of the conditions, and you missed the first part, but I was hoping that we would be able to use influence that everyone on the charter board had to help us get that in the town of Alpine. And it's going to be an uphill battle, I'm just telling you that. But we need, gravel is a need that the town has, but there has to be other locations that we can find that gravel in North Lincoln
Millions
County.
of acres.
I mean, yeah, so let's go find it, and then, yeah, we share that vision for sure. I see that as vitally important to the future of the town of Alpine. So, yeah, agreed.
Mayor, I would add that the school being here is going to help with us lobbying to get this back to the town. And you talk about there's a lot of political power in this board. I look at it and I say there's a lot of common sense, there's a lot of experience, and there's a lot of skill set. And I know, talking to all of the people on this board, that this is so logical, so common sense, that we will get 100% behind. I mean, there's just, it's a no-brainer. We want that to be the town.
Yep. Thank you.
Hear from the public.
Yeah, I really want to see if we can start to get some of those things added to the list, if we don't mind, just starting a consent list and then adding a few of those really important things on there. Is there, back to my list of asks, is anyone opposed to making a motion, at least wording it as getting permission for access from Whiteout or something to that extent?
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I'll kind of go on my thoughts.
Yes.
Be a little bit on my soapbox, and then I'll come back
Okay.
that way. But I'll be quick. First and foremost, thank you again, everybody. I know I thanked everybody last week at Wednesdays. Last week's work session was by far the best work session I've been a part of on this council. I know everybody here appreciated not only just the turnout, but everybody being intelligent, thoughtful, cordial with all their comments. And I know I have, and I assume everybody on this board has sifted through everybody's comments, pro, con, no opinion. We've looked through them all. There's several phone calls I was not able to return today. My apologies. I had other matters spring up on me. I will be getting back to you. But thank you for being so involved. And as I told one person, all you have to do is look on YouTube, Google, or search for public school meetings, and boy, you find some fun stuff. So thank you, everybody, for being very civil and going through the process. Now, back to letter of intent. My letter of intent, I actually dumbed down because, well, I won't say dumbed down. I kept all the meat and potatoes in it. I found it a little more cordial because what I feel that you guys are looking for is just that, is a letter of intent to say we're behind the board, we're behind a school, to present to the state charter board. the nitty-gritty, which definitely needs to be in there, and those questions need to be answered, to me, falls in that lease agreement. That's where we kind of get in the nitty-gritty. I had a friend tell me that sometimes you can democratize things to death, which this is kind of getting into there. So I kept in the majority, again, of chapter, the second to last chapter, let's say the third and second to last chapter.
Chapter or paragraph?
Or paragraph. Did away with one of the upper paragraphs and just kind of ended on just kind of the town looks forward to the prospect of a charter school and intends to use all reasonable efforts to accomplish its legislative procedures in as timely manner as the law will allow. So pretty much similar to what Jim had wrote, but I can read it all. I believe I sent it out to everybody. I don't know if you can bring it up on your email, but that's what I did, again, because the nitty-gritty that definitely needs to be answered isn't, the state charter board is not necessarily concerned with that. They're concerned that we're, putting in our due diligence, just like the the third and second to last paragraph states. But it's the lease agreement that really, to me, really is where that due diligence needs to play out, because that's what's going to have the teeth with the 501c3 Alpine Education Foundation, not necessarily this. So with that, and then also with just hearing the conversation tonight, let me back up a second here. And Kevin, sorry to put you on the spot. What's a guesstimation in your mind of a traffic study and kind of a re-engineered work of an area through if Jorgensen were to? Sorry, can you? Yep, thank you.
We've got some spec things that are coming around for Safe Streets for All, for trying to connect this, that you could maybe tie in with some of that traffic. The Safe Streets for All, that's one of the items. So that might even tie into it. But it depends on how deep you go into it, how much you want to change streets, adjust streets, flow rates, those kind of things.
Yeah.
It depends on the full depth.
Right.
If you're just looking for high level, yeah, it's pretty done dirty if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for the depth of it, look at something like this that might happen. It gets more detailed and it gets more expensive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
20,000 expensive, 50,000
I would
expensive.
say between
100,000?
5 and 20, depending on how deep you want to go.
Okay, that's
yeah.
real numbers. Okay, thank you. So with that in mind, and kind of listening to folks here and Colby, thanks for the vision of a starting point. I assume the town can kind of use what you've got going on? And the other night you said your gift was, a nice, all right. Where I'm getting at is we're already kind of saving money. We have $100,000 budgeted in for a comp plan.
Yep.
If we're already at least get a starting point, and to everybody out there, this is not an end-all be-all. This is a starting point. This is a starting point for a conversation to the community of what may be, what could be, but it's at least a starting point that does have a dollar value attached to it if we were to go to another firm to say, hey, this is what we're thinking and hoping. So there is value to this. With that said, at guesstimating of $20,000 for the traffic study, may we make amended a motion to hire Jorgensen, start that Safe Streets for now, start what we need it done on your plan of doing those roads, getting that intersection safer, and seeing what it would take to replat everything and go from there. And then that way we have a starting point for the future that if approved by the state, we'll already have that ball rolling.
Well, we already have the Safe Streets for All grant we were given the grant, the next step is, Monica, we need to meet with them, and then we need to give them some direction.
Yeah, we're good, and the process is set by the federal government.
Right.
There will have to be requests for proposals.
Right.
And they'll be involved in the
Yeah.
consultant.
Okay.
So in
That's
that
putting
route,
the cart before the horse.
we're
Yeah.
democratizing ourselves to death.
Yes.
So we just go straight forward, forget about that, straight forward to you to say, look, this is what we're thinking, this is what we'd like to study on, this is what we'd like to happen. And we'd, if your schedule allows, we'd like that to happen within the next month. So if we are approved by the state, then we have that ball rolling. We're not starting behind the ball. And at the same time, we're working in that lease agreement because in my opinion, where you're starting, that's something needed, in my opinion. So if these guys disappear and go away, we have the Mercer study coming up. And if the Mercer study, these guys disappear, the Mercer study comes up and they say Alpine needs a school, we already have that infrastructure saying, yes, we do need a school, and we've already done the work, is my thought.
I think that, just my comment on, I think, I agree, like, we can try to get that going as quick as possible. That's not a proper place in where we are tonight.
Right.
In my mind. So maybe we get the great news next month, and then we have a meeting, hopefully directly. I don't know what the date is, when our October meeting is, and then we jump on that. But again, we need to figure out who's paying for it and all those things. So I don't think it's great for this conversation right now.
I would respectfully disagree, just because I want to get the ball rolling.
I
And
think
They don't
this
even have the
shows that.
charter. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I think this shows that, though, because we're identifying to the charter board and to our community that these are some of the obstacles that we want to overcome, and we're going to get started on it quickly.
Right. But as I said, I think that, to me, comes more in the lease agreement. This letter of intent is for specifically the state charter board to show our interest. It's, again, they don't, whether we want it at one phase, a two-phase, the state charter board, that's
They
no
don't care about
interest.
that, yeah.
Right, exactly.
But in our second paragraph,
So,
we do express support. What else would you add?
Yeah.
well, that's
we
why I
already
say,
gave a letter
in
of
my
support.
letter of support, I've essentially lightened this language up. And so we're not going down the path of democratizing ourselves to death. We're on board with the Start Charter School Board saying, you have our support. And at the same time, we're getting the ball rolling, going, all right, let's look at a lease agreement. Let's look at Jorgensen because before we even start a lease agreement, we have to have your findings. And so let's at least get the ball going for that. So if it's approved, then we have, say, a month down the road, say the charter board approves it, now we're ahead to start writing the lease agreement. It's not, we're starting a month behind going, okay, now we're approved by the state, now we go to you guys, and we need that. So it's setting that timeline up for success.
Yeah, I understand everyone's, need to get it going as fast as possible. My feeling is, let's get the charter first, and then we'll take that next step. I think everything will happen in its proper place at this point. My intention is get the letter of intent done tonight. If there's language in there that you would like to change on the support, I'd like to hear it. So if you
Sure.
don't mind reading it,
Not
that'd
at
be
all.
great.
So I'll start, sorry, let me get a
Second
drink.
paragraph, is that what you're looking at?
I've lightened up the whole thing.
Okay.
So I'll start from the beginning. The governing body of the town of Alpine, Wyoming, further known as Town, met on September 17th, 2024, and voted to authorize Mayor Green to provide Alpine Education Foundation, known as AEF, with the letter of intent evidencing the town's willingness to lease a parcel of property owned by the town to AEF for the purpose of constructing and maintaining a charter school. The governing board expresses their support for the proposed charter school and is anxious to see the school's completion and success in providing a superior education experience for the children of Alpine, Wyoming, and surrounding areas. The town's willingness to enter into a long-term lease will be contingent upon the proper due diligence of both parties, resolution of any technical, replat, access, and infrastructure issues, traffic studies, and satisfactory provision of economic and conceptual plans on the part of AEF. The town will also require AEF to provide a final version of the architectural drawings in which it will be shown by AEF that the proposed building will be an appropriate and attractive edifice fitting to the area and surroundings. It is the understanding of the governing body that all parties are aware that, aside from the lease of the property to AEF, the town shall not be responsible for any financial commitment, whether it be in money, equipment, or human capital. AEF shall be responsible for all costs associated with the construction, maintenance, insurance, utilities to the building, and on the property for the term of the lease. The town looks forward to the prospect of a charter school and intends to use all reasonable efforts to accomplish its legislative procedures in as a timely manner as the law will allow. Respectfully, Eric Green, Mayor, Town of Alpine, Wyoming. So you still have the meat and potatoes in there.
Yep.
I've taken out, I think it's the members of the governing body, and then lightened up a few other words there. Again, because, I mean, you could even take out, the town shall, or you could even take out the, upon proper due diligence of both parties, resolution of any technical replat, access of infrastructure. That should be there, but again, the state charter board, that's not important to them. That's more in the lease agreement. But I still left that in.
I think, did everyone, it'd be,
Mostly followed
yeah.
all of the edits.
so can you, have you emailed that to Monica?
I've emailed it to everybody.
To Monica, though? So
Yep,
she can
it
print
went
it out
to-
to us?
Monica plus
Yeah, it went to the
5.
all email.
Okay, she's already on top of it.
Perfect.
Did you get the gist of that, Mr. Sanderson?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you agree with it, for the most part, or is there anything we're missing?
Well, I don't think there's anything missing. There's some adjectives that I don't like adjectives, but that's okay. I mean, it's fine, and when it gets down to the whole purpose of this is we're on board. There's things that need to be discussed later, but we're gonna try to make it work.
Okay.
That's what it says, that's what the other one says. I mean, you can. Right.
So this is,
Oh, this is his.
Jeremy's, yeah.
this is, Councilman Castillo's.
Jim didn't get one of those.
I think it's well on the public record what we want. So if there's an
Okay.
issue that comes back, but
Right, I just wanted to be transparent with
right.
what we would be looking for and what we'd be willing
yeah.
to spend and
I
cover.
agree.
So I was
They're aware.
appreciative that it encompassed all of that. I would be comfortable taking out or amending the third paragraph. Because again, we're delineating all of those possible details and issues below.
I sent a Word version to the mayor, if he can pull it up on you guys can,
I'll turn off the TV so everyone doesn't look at my email. I'm sure you guys really want to know what's going on. It's all public information anyways.
transparent.
Yes, very transparent. Did you just send me it?
I sent it to you about
Okay,
5 or 10 minutes.
okay. So what you're saying is this similar to,
It's similar to the
Councilman
one
Fletcher?
I sent out that Councilman Castillo commented on. And I put the proper name of
The board in there.
entity in there. I added a few more things as we talked about tonight in paragraph 2, 3, 4. You can take it out or put it in.
paragraph 3,
Make
it
it
looks
sound
like it's
nicer.
back in there, but do you,
Like Councilman Larson would like. You can work on it from there.
This is just a letter of intent.
Yes, I know, that's why I'm
I guess I've
comfortable
gotta
moving
ask
forward
a
with it.
question, Mayor, if I can.
okay, hold on, 1 second. Before we get down another rabbit hole, is everyone fine? Councilman Larson, do you like this add this one? Or would you rather,
You want to see it in print?
I guess so. I
Okay,
don't have it.
forward it to me.
that one?
Is that,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's yours.
No,
Yeah.
Jim, forward it to me and I'll print it, so I can hand them all copies, because it's hard to see it from the screen.
Okay, at this point, I guess I'll take public comment, but let's just keep it short and sweet so we can keep moving forward, because we have a extremely long meeting tonight. Marlo, did you want to add something to the conversation?
Yeah, just real quick, it seems to me, my observation is it's a letter of intent, not a detailed discord of our concerns. You have those concerns and they're gonna have to be answered, there's no doubt about that, but Jim is encapsulated and Jeremy is, they're both very similar in paragraph 4. It's general, we've got some things we gotta work out in a due process, but we're behind this school. And I think that's all Jim's trying to say is
Yeah.
we have a letter of intent.
Right.
I think
It's
we're all
not a
on,
detailed contract with Jorgensen or anybody else. It's
I think we're all on the same page on the intent. It's just there's two different letters, and I want to make sure Councilman Larson is happy with it.
I think your paragraph 4 takes care of all the concerns that you put on your list, Mayor. Is my observation.
Yeah, it's very broad in that sense.
Very broad.
Yep.
I guess if I were writing the letter, I would say, we like the idea of the project, we have a place, we'll see if we can work it out. Sincerely, Mayor. But I come from a man who used to tear off the first 3 pages of things and throw the rest away, so.
Do you want a hard copy? You have-
Please.
so I guess between the two, yeah, really, it's taken out that third paragraph to me again. It just seems,
Which is fine.
state charter board just doesn't,
Your suggestion is just take the third paragraph out
Yeah.
of that, his letter?
Yeah.
Are you, I'm fine with that too. Why don't you make a motion just to, however you word it?
see.
Is that necessary, Jim?
Which third?
He just wants to take out
No,
this
but it's
paragraph right here.
necessary to
Finalize.
Or
vote
should I
on
just take it out?
taking out
Yeah.
the third paragraph. They have a motion on the floor
Yeah.
for the mayor to draft a letter of intent, provide a letter of
Yeah,
intent.
that's fine.
Okay, go on.
As long as you're in agreement about the final draft, I don't think we have to re-motion
Any,
it.
Yeah. You'll just make a motion to accept that as the final draft.
okay. And then we'll get back to the original motion and we'll be down the road. You fine with that?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay, so let's, I would entertain a motion to accept this as the final draft.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of using this as the final draft of the letter of intent, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Back to the original motion, which was a motion for Mayor Green to provide a letter of intent to the Alpine Charter School Board evidencing town of Alpine's willingness to lease town-owned property for the purpose of constructing and maintaining a charter school. We fine? I'm sorry?
Clerk was just asking who seconded the last motion.
Oh.
Letting her know.
Okay. Back to the original motion. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was 5-0. Sorry, that was a long way of getting to where we got, but I think it was very important, so. Now, let's move on to other business. Thank you. Don't everyone leave us, but,
Do you want to wait for final comment?
absolutely, yeah. I'll deliver it myself tomorrow night if you want me to, Dave.
Yes. Do you need it tonight? Email it to me and I'll go put it on letterhead. Right.
Okay,
You can sign it and you can give him a pen too, so.
we can have a whole thing, yes.
Ceremony.
When we get going on the next,
Yep.
piece of business, I'll send that to you while we're talking.
Thank you.
Next is final plat for the Grice edition. Can I?
You pull that up for us.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you. No, that's okay. Both of them are pretty straightforward.
I get a motion to get this on the table if anyone's
Make a
willing.
motion to approve the advanced final plat approval for the Grice addition to the town of Alpine as presented.
Second.
We have a motion. It was seconded by Councilwoman Castillo.
That's okay, Councilman Larson.
Madam Clerk, what are we doing here?
So there should be a map. Is there a map attached to her,
Oh, maybe
There
it's
should
down
be.
more. Let me see.
to her,
Yes.
keep going. So with, the Barry Grist addition, if you recall, when the subdivision was, approved by town council, that subdivision came with a list of criteria as far as, installing water, sewer, and the roadway that you see depicted on the map. And so the subdivision process does not allow for the final recording of the plat until either A, they sign an agreement with the town of Alpine saying they will do all the work, or they do the work. He did all the work, it's done, it's complete, and now he is asking for the final plat. All the work that's been completed has been approved by our Public Works Department.
Okay.
Yep,
Statutorily, we've checked all the boxes here.
yep. He's ready to go.
Okay.
I make one comment.
Please, come, if you don't mind coming up to the mic or talking here, if you don't mind.
Marlo Sturble, if you go back to your motion right there, whoop, whoop, go back up.
Oh, no, I did something. I'm
So,
right here?
I would just suggest you take out advanced. This is a final plat. It says advanced on ours, that's because it's not recorded yet.
Ah,
Okay, that's, means it isn't totally official, but you're approving the final plat as it
Okay.
is, and authorizing the mayor to sign, and I
thank
just
you for that correction. I didn't know.
clarify,
I didn't know
I
the
realize we put advanced plat
Make a
on
motion to
everything that
amend.
goes out of our office until it gets recorded, because there may be
Thank you.
changes.
We'll clean that up right now.
Make a motion to amend,
Thanks.
to remove quote-unquote advance and replace with just final plat. So it'll read, motion to approve the final plat approval for the Grease addition to the town of Alpine as presented.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion on said motion? All those in favor of said motion to amend, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, back to the original motion. Any further discussion on this? It seems like we've checked all the boxes here, and I think we should be ready to go.
Yes, and planning and zoning didn't have any extra comments. Their recommendation was approval, so.
Correct. All right. With no further discussion, all those in favor of said motion approving the Grist Edition plat, final plat, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Moving down our list. Let's keep going. Simple replat application for the Tyler Doucette to be known as Lot 105. Madam Clerk, this is just,
They're combining lots.
Let's see what the recommendation says. Looks like there was only one comment from the replat application. It was in support of the replat, and Planning and Zoning and Christina found it does not appear that this combination in any way is harmful or impact adjacent neighbors or property owners. They're recommending that town council approves it.
in which neighborhood is this in?
Palace Park.
Palace Park, which is kind of behind the tavern, the RV park. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
This is fairly close to your take land at the reservoir too, I think. So it's in the northern part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get a motion on the table.
Make a motion to approve the simple replat application for Tyler Doucette to be known as Lot 105, Palace Park, 8th edition to the town of Alpine.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion? It seems like we've done our due diligence. Madam Clerk, is it your understanding we have checked all the boxes that statutorily were required?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone have any further discussion? All those in favor of said motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None? Sounds good. Motion passed. Oh, I keep forgetting. Sorry. I know you guys come to hear the gavel.
Sorry.
All right, moving down the list. Let's see. Next is Alpine Lakes Annexation Agreement.
Motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2024-008 Alpine Lakes annexation.
Actually, you jumped down one.
Oh, I jumped one.
So we
Sorry.
don't need a motion for
No.
this item.
We don't need
This
a
is
motion?
just
What
a
is this
discussion.
discussion?
No, because it needs to be finalized before the third and final reading of the annexation.
Okay, so now we're just gonna say that we're gonna discuss it before the next reading.
Yes.
And who's developing the Alpine Lakes Annexation Agreement?
So the annexation agreement was, the draft that you see here was done by the petitioner's attorney. And so it does include all the dynamics that were discussed with the town of Alpine and addresses through both our pre-annexation meetings and any conversations that we've had since then. It does also address the concerns that were raised through the completion of the annexation report. And so I found that the agreement to be consistent with what the town would require. The one caveat, and it is not Monica's decision to make, is that they did ask for the town of Alpine to accept the county master plan. And that had not been a conversation that was discussed in the meetings that I attended. So that is 100% at the will of town council.
Do you know where that is in this agreement?
You passed it.
Okay.
Right, so construction, so go up, just, wait. Okay.
Okay.
Number 3, yes, thank you.
Right to develop property
Yes.
pursuant to existing master plan. Okay.
The town agrees that annexation of the property shall be subject to the existing master plan approved by the Board of Commissioners of Lincoln County on September 5th, 2018. The landowner in landowner's sole discretion may proceed to develop the property in accordance with the existing master plan, subject only to the other requirements of this agreement for development of the property in accordance with the town's development standards and the requirements of this agreement that do not conflict with the existing master plan.
I guess we need to question whether or not we need to approve their master plan. I haven't even seen it. I think that we need to have an opportunity for people in the public to discuss it, see if that's something that we agree with. So how do you suggest we proceed?
So the approval process of a master plan is a planning and zoning commission process, and I personally, you know, when it comes to planning and zoning, although I'm learning more every day, I know enough to, at times, oftentimes make me dangerous than educated. So, I mean, I don't know if what you guys say, so what the recommendation would be from planning and zoning in this instance.
Sue Colpus,
yes.
Planning and Zoning.
Thank you.
We did meet with Trevor Funk last P&Z meeting. I asked him to come and share his vision because we had 5 iterations of that property, and we were all confused as to what it would look like. Again, it's in the county, looking to be annexed into the town. We did have a lovely conversation, and a lot of points were brought up, and a lot of good ideas were brought up, and we all actually loved what we saw. There was a component up front in between the event center and the commercial center where Teen Todd and Tie is going to be that showed some more employee housing. At this point, because we've got 10 apartment buildings a block or so away, we asked them to kind of look at that again and perhaps readjust that. Nothing's been finalized. We just had the first conversation. I think we're on the right track, and I think we all liked what we saw, and I think it would be a tremendous benefit to the community, except for that one component, which you said you hadn't finalized. So it was a very productive meeting, and they were very open to discussion.
So back to this document, it says there's a master plan that was done on September 5th of 2018.
Yeah, that we never saw.
Okay. Please, you're gonna have to come up. Thanks. Thanks, Sue.
So if I could just clarify a few things, we have discussed this in some of our meetings. Not the town council meeting, but in our discussions, we ask whether or not, so the county has an approved master plan in 2018, I believe it was, right? And that's what's approved on that land now, is it remains in the county. If it comes into the town, it's been my experience in the past that the town has respected those county master plans until they were amended. And that's what we had in our discussion like 30 days ago, if I recall. We mentioned that. We've sent a copy of what the county, and it's attached to this document, what the county's approved. That's a fairly high density. It has RV casitas up front, if you recall, and it has the townhouses kind of in the back. Mm-hmm. And what the annexation petitioner has indicated to you is that they are wanting to come in and amend that through the proper procedure of the town to a different master plan. But I want to make sure it's clear, this has been discussed, which is why it's in the agreement. And the conclusion I came from our meetings was, generally in the past, we have looked at those that are already approved in the county as kind of grandfathered in. Or do we come in fresh and that there's nothing there?
I apologize if that was stated. My understanding was that you guys were developing new plans.
We are.
And had plans to present them to the town of Alpine.
We are.
I'm wondering if that was mentioned in the first meeting, in which I probably attended the last 5-10 minutes of, that was had, and it could have generally been accepted, but I don't know procedurally, and this may be a Jim question.
You remember which meeting? I don't know that it matters which meeting.
No.
I guess what we need to discuss is whether or not,
Yeah, and
how this town wants to view, so it's already an entitlement on the land if they stay in the county, right? It can be developed the way that master plan is. Obviously, they have a lot more steps to go through with the county if that happens. They're choosing to come and work with the town, and they've indicated to you they want to come in and amend and have a different master plan than it was approved in the county. And we're not changing that. The question is whether or not we come in as nothing accepted, or is there a grandfathering idea, or do you recognize what the county's already
I guess
approved?
what I would go back to is that we changed our annexation ordinance. So really, before they got too far along in this process, we'd have to know exactly what was going on. Am I mistaken?
We filed before that ordinance.
Exactly. So you came in just before that. So if
Luck
you
of the
were-
draw.
Luck of the draw, for sure. Yes, but I'm sure it wasn't planned. But anyways, it would be great if we could kind of align things so it went along with our ordinance as much as we possibly could.
And I think that's what we've stated.
So,
And I believe that's kind of states that also in there,
Yeah.
is that
so,
we would be.
and again, I don't have any dog in this fight. If they desire to adopt a historical master plan or not. I guess from a procedural aspect, since this town council, since I have been here, has not been asked, and in truth, if those things have been routinely grandfathered in, which I didn't think was a real legal term and like to be, but
It's a legal term.
if they were brought in, there is no paper. I've reviewed it, historical annexations. There was no thing that said we are going to adopt your master plan.
Not that I recall.
So from a procedural standpoint, what does that look like, Jim? Okay, this master plan, which I don't know what their master plan process is. The truth is, I don't know what ours is. And so if they're different, are the typically master plans the same process? What does that bind council to? I mean, it may be perfectly fine, but it may not. And how does this council determine that?
It says that the master plan's attached as Exhibit D.
Yes.
So you look at
I
Exhibit
just
D.
looked through and this is
Which,
all that
do
I
you have
have,
any
which
idea what
shows the MRC R1 zoning,
Right.
exhibit of zoning for Alpine Lakes annexation.
You continue down, keep going to your Exhibit D, there it was.
This is
Keep
F.
going, there's the final determination from the
This was
county.
D.
If you continue on, you'll see the approved master plan by Lincoln County. Has no approval from this town. There it is.
In all the conversations I've had with Trevor and Morgan, they're scaling down the density quite a bit. And so I don't know if this needs to hold us up in any way. Their intention is to change the zoning so it doesn't look like this. And in my opinion, make it better for the town of Alpine. So I don't know what that means
So-
to everyone here.
My suggestion is, because this developer agreement goes along with the annexation, is that correct?
Right.
So we get the annexation done, and then we finalize the developer agreement. We talk about exactly what they want, they need to tell us exactly how they want to do this before we give you authority to sign the developer agreement. So we can do the annexation, or we can do it all at the third reading after they have given us the proper information.
Well, yeah, and I guess just from what I've seen prior to this, and I mean, these documents have been floating around. Like Christine's provided me with some because she had some, I didn't have them, but I don't even know that this master plan aligns with the zoning, and I think that's something Christine could probably review, that they've selected. Like, because on the map, it has a specific, I don't know that what is delineated here aligns with the zoning that's requested. For all I know, there's R1, like, single-family homes showing in what they've designated as.
It's basically a similar zoning
Okay.
from the county. The county is a mixed use,
Okay,
and you guys have different terminologies for, yours an MRC, which is a mixed commercial residential, whereas the county calls it mixed, and it's still business and commercial,
Councilman
or
Larson, do you
business
have a
and
question?
residential.
Yeah, so just looking at this here, the Bob Walks, the president of the
HOA.
HOA. Walker, thank you, reached out to me with concerns of, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So as we look at the plot map here, you can kind of cut it into horizontal thirds. So the kind of top third, middle third, and bottom third. Yeah. And the HOA section of it is essentially the bottom 2/3. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then what he was saying is in their HOA, they have a minimum lot size of 1 acre. So looking at that development to the right there,
That's
No,
I don't think that's.
They also have multifamily.
Right, but it
in
has to
their
be
zoning in their
limited to
CC&R.
1 acre
No,
on the,
multifamily is, as it says, it's
Right.
multiple units and it has its own definition.
Gotcha.
in your CC&R. Now, and let me make sure you understand.
Yep.
The HOA approved this master plan when it went through the county.
when it went through the county.
2000.
Okay,
AVR has approved this particular master plan through the process with the county.
Right.
okay.
They have
That-
not approved any changes that we might bring into the town of Alpine, because we haven't brought them forward yet,
Gotcha.
right? But this was approved by both the county and the
And the
HOA.
HOA. Okay,
Yes.
so I would say you might want to have a conversation with Bob, if you haven't already. Okay, because this morning, he was letting me know, not only the zoning, but the minimum of 1 acre lots. Now, he said on those 1 acre lots, you can have multi-unit housing, but it's still limited to 1 acre lot.
We'll have to have your attorney review that.
Again, this is.
We're not going
This
there,
is
but
just Bob reaching out to me.
I understand it, and my understanding of his concern was, will the MRC match what their CC&R?
Sure.
Is that? Yes. That's what we understood.
Yeah, and I
And-
think they're going to address that in the next, in any updates that are done
And-
to this
And
agreement.
I
feel
I think we're
confident.
gonna have, recognize we got two government bodies here no matter what we do.
Right.
Yes.
Once we're in the town of Alpine, we still have the HOA,
Right.
who has covenants on part of this land, not all of it,
That
the lower
supersede
2/3.
us in many ways, probably,
Right.
right?
I don't know whether they, yeah, they probably
Yeah.
do. We have attorneys here that can answer that question. But they'll have to have some buy-in on that, just like the town of Alpine will. The real question here, I think, is in this agreement, whether or not, how the town wants to recognize the existing master plan. Is there, does it come in as it is? Or does it come in as a clean slate with just the zoning that we're requesting, with no master plan? To me, that's the
So what's
question.
the pros and cons of that?
And also the zoning that you're requesting, as I understand it, was the top third is MRC, the middle third is essentially R2, and the bottom third is R1?
No, I think it was mostly MRC, except the 1 acre lots are R1.
R1.
So the bottom, you're calling it a third.
Yeah.
The bottom 8 lots are all 1 acre lots, in accordance with the AVR CC&Rs. They've already been platted and approved by the county. Those would be R1, because that's what's planned to be there, is R1 housing. Everything else was MRC, to be able to have a mixture of housing and commercial.
Gotcha. Now, and that's the other thing, is Bob saying that middle section doesn't jive with our MRC. Their zoning doesn't jive with our MRC. They're more,
They could give a variance, so we would put language in there that it would only be acceptable to do anything commercial there with the variance from the HOA.
We gotta have the HOA's approval
Right.
if we make any changes. This has been approved, so it can be constructed, but we want to downsize it. We want to look at it differently. And the HOA's got to be a player in that, because they've got the CC&Rs. There's nobody superventing that or doing an end run on the HOA. They've got to be involved.
So if it's,
Correct? Correct?
if it's been amended, because you've had initial conversations with planning and zoning, I guess I don't understand why
It hasn't been amended
Has it?
at the county level.
formally it's
At
just
the county
been
level, yeah. So,
discussed.
just discussed.
Okay.
There's a whole process to make amendments. In my opinion, it makes a lot of sense just to get into the town of Alpine and then work with them on this. That's kind of what we've planned on doing. They're open to it. Planning and zoning is, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I do. This isn't the first time we've talked about this, but the one thing that just gave me pause was that they're going to adhere to the county's master plan of 2018. Now, me as a planning and zoning member, I have not read what the county's master plan is, so I cannot attest to what those rules and regulations are, what that entails, and if there's anything that might be amiss within our town, what our rules. And I understand we have an HOA and stuff that we're gonna work with and stuff, but I'm just gonna tell you this, I cannot tell you for sure if that matches what our deals are for our master plan or what we've got planned. I've never read their master plan, so I'm going to give you guys that pause just so you're aware, because until I read that personally, I can't say, yeah, let's go for it. You know what I mean? So just giving you that heads up to CYA.
I feel like we have sufficient time between now and the next reading, so.
And that's
if we-
fine.
if
I
we
want
do
that
our-
on record.
If
that-
we do our second reading of the annexation ordinance this evening, can we just ask you guys to look at what is attached as attached, and then you can just comment, because I think you're gonna find that we're all in a good place, but I think town council can't, I don't know that town council is not that you're the right body to make the ultimate decision, but they're the correct body to just say.
They just need to review it.
Yeah, and they
Next-
obviously are talking to them, and,
Okay.
yeah.
I just let
So-
you guys know on the record, I'll do some homework.
What we're asking with this paragraph is a procedural thing
Yeah.
with the town, because
Yes.
we can't come to you with a master plan or even to amend a master plan until we're within your jurisdiction,
Yes.
right? And so all we have is what the county has approved until we change jurisdictions and we're now under your
Yeah.
control. Which we're here petitioning voluntarily, willing to come under your control and deal with.
Yep.
Do you see any detriment, Mr. Sanderson, to?
Other than the fact that if they don't like, let's say you accept the developer agreement and you bring them in and they don't like how we want to set it up under our master plan, then
They could go back
paragraph
and
3, they
use
can
That's
go
my
back.
only fear.
So that's your worst case scenario, is
Right.
whatever's in Exhibit D.
Right.
So, I guess your option.
Do you have some suggested changes that would make that?
Paragraph 3.
I'm sorry, Dave.
He said
He
strike
said strike
paragraph 3.
paragraph 3.
Well, I think prior to doing that, isn't it worth the exercise of asking P and Z to review this?
Well, he asked me what.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I appreciate your comment. I'm just,
So,
we'll have to
I'm a-
take that under
I want to
advisement.
try to land the plane as soon as possible
Yes,
here,
so
but
let's have P and Z look at it, and we will get this.
there's
And
basically,
offer
there's
feedback.
no action needs to be taken tonight. We'll just.
No, this
recommend-
doesn't need to
Yep.
be approved tonight. We're asking
Yep.
for comments.
Yep.
You put it on your agenda to review and so we're listening.
Right.
Correct.
But I wanted to give you the historical background of why that's part of that.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I think we can just work this out.
thank you. We'll have them talk about it and then we'll see what recommendation they have for us.
Smiling.
Okay. Yes, please.
I think I just had some questions as I've been reading about it, and this isn't to pick on Trevor or anybody. So one, the development agreement. What is that going to do for the town as far as hookup fees? This is 32 acres, I believe, the second largest annexation into Alpine. So one, I kind of wanted to know what money that will bring to the town. Second, I did want to, once Kevin gave his report, we discussed if our sewer plant has to be doubled, it'll be 21 million. If we need to upgrade our water, it's 1.3 million. So I guess a part of me wishes we would pause. What is the water study? What is the sewer study? Because we've got the Sure Stay Hotel coming online, eventually probably another 60 to 80 apartments over the next few years. So I think those were my first two questions, if you guys have answers for
Want me to
those.
take them one at a time?
Yes,
Okay.
I appreciate
Start
it.
during the second.
And not to drag this out, I
Yeah.
just want to be
No, that
educated.
was coming up. That was the
Because
next agenda
we say
item.
we're a million under. I did want to ask Kevin, how much are we over on the sewer plant? I know that has to be exponentially, almost double what was,
That's all of our payments.
No, and that's
Why
sep-
we're
that's separate,
Over a
but-
million is because of the
okay, but 32 acres of a development, that's a lot of water and sewer.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
So it goes back to impact fees in my mind.
and we don't have any.
I know, that's
Okay.
why it's so important that we get it in place, but the impact fees would only be charged when they come and get a building permit. So unless they were planning on annexing into the town, doing a replat and getting a building permit for the entire thing, I think we're covered on some of those questions that you have as far as money coming into the.
But would they have hookup fees?
There is not going to be any hookup fees, is my
Okay.
understanding, because there's credits. that
So-
are-
Okay, and how much money and credits are there?
So there is 180 sewer connections, and there is 180 water, 3/4 inch water connections. Those numbers were calculated in the previous administration based on it wasn't
Value
the most.
infrastructure.
Based on how much was paid to install the infrastructure, as well rate of fees for connections was not being used, it was the old one. And so that math was done, and in that agreement, they assigned 180 each to this property. They were property specific.
Okay.
It is my understanding that when this property was purchased from the current owner, that they paid a premium on this property because of the prepayment of the fee. So the initial developer charged them
Okay.
to get himself repayment for the money that he spent to install the.
So whether they're
infrastructure.
annexed or not, if they weren't annexed, they still have those credits?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. And then
Yeah.
the second on the life of the sewer and water, I guess as
What's
far
the
as.
question again?
Well, really, the question is, does it affect the life of our sewer plant?
Yes.
Well, what it does is it expedites when we're going to need, by doing these annexations, by giving building permits.
Yeah.
All these things, by construction happening, that expedites the need for a new upgraded sewer plant.
So,
yes.
I guess my
You- but
question is,
also
yeah,
building a house in our neighborhood expedites that, but much smaller rate.
that's what I,
You know-
yeah, I guess I'm concerned for all the people that are on the hill or wherever within.
Well, they don't
in-
have sewers, so don't worry about them.
Yeah, I guess you're.
Well, in talking to Jorgensen, it's really large developments that move the needle.
Yeah.
We actually want to encourage single-family homes to come in because that doesn't affect our max daily rate.
Like a MRC?
Yes.
Okay.
This would be because we've had so much MRC annexation.
Yeah.
And again, this comes with a caveat of it's probably going to take at least 2 years for some of this build out. But the long-term view is that, yes, this would be the last large development that we as a town could take on. That takes us to max capacity for sewer and over max capacity for water. We have the ability, in part thanks to some of these previous developments, to now tie into a mega well,
Okay.
but that's gonna come at significant expense.
Okay.
So you're
I
right.
just don't want our little town to.
Right,
you
well, and
know,
back to.
Miss out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our usage on the sewer plant is somewhere around 30% right now.
Okay.
So, yes, all these things come into play. It's not as doomsday as.
But our water capacity is at
Well,
max.
No.
I thought our
We
water,
still have room. It's after,
Okay.
if you take into account the build out for all of the annexations.
for all of the
That
animals.
we've
So
approved.
even like the development you live
Yeah.
in is.
Yes,
100%.
correct. That's without,
Okay.
we'd be at 118% if we
Okay.
did not tie into the mega well. Yes.
Yeah, and the way I see it with Alpine Lakes, the truth is, the commitment to connect them has existed. It's already done, regardless of whether
Thank
they're
you,
in
Shay.
the town of Alpine or outside of the town of Alpine. Where the town of Alpine gets the benefit is any business they put in, benefits, I mean, all the
Property
property
tax, sales
taxes,
tax, all
sales
those-
tax, and any single-family home that they build, hopefully the people will live there as their primary residence and put that on the next census.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. I mean, that would be the goal. If they're outside of the town of Alpine, we get
doesn't
none of those
benefit.
benefits, and they still
Well,
get
they
to
would
use
have a
the
lot of
sewer and water.
difficulty. Right.
Yeah, because
Okay,
that's already done.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
I think we've
We'll get to
understand.
second reading
yes.
now.
So let's go ahead and I would entertain a motion for Alpine Lakes annexation, second reading.
Motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2024-008 Alpine Lakes annexation.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Let me pull that up. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah, I don't see a hyperlink. Monica, I can't add that.
Maybe I missed the fact that it wasn't added.
Huh? There's not a new ordinance? It's the same ordinance?
It's the same exact.
Because we didn't make any changes
We
from
made
the
no.
first second. Well, I say we take a 5-minute recess so we can take a bio break, as they call it, and we can print out that.
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a 5-minute recess.
I missed this, that she didn't.
You guys can turn off the mics. If anyone needs to use the restroom or something, we've got restrooms back here, back here. Oh, so what we did was, we had a motion to get
The school development.
paragraph.
So about the,
When, if it's getting built, when it's getting built.
So then when we got back, we made a motion to say we go 5-0. Yeah, I think so this is.
I know this is, who do we?
Yeah,
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely a lot of moving parts. Right now, the latest, at least on this board, Mayor and I are creating, and moving this here, abandoning this road, so to speak, and, well, this isn't a road, but basically creating a one-way road here, and then inside this, wherever this may be, and then putting this road straight out. Yeah, it will definitely be fencing. This would not be a road, but it would be, right now what's being discussed is just a pathway. So you have that, feel that safe routes to school. So it's not for cars, but it's for kids walking to school. So they come through here and they avoid all this traffic over here, kids that are walking to school. But right now the traffic is going to be centered here.
It sounds fine,
Is the preliminary idea.
yeah, I just, no, I just did not, yeah. No, I totally understand. No, I totally understand, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, it looks amazing. We did it.
what the 2018 master plan county is.
That's always a good time. I've done it with slaves before. Yeah, so good time. You never drive.
This was the best. He calls me. So we got on air.
So how much do I put in?
But putting butts in the back window. Spins on the window.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Wait for your permit.
Once you're in, we're not gonna let you out. No one else is taking it. I just
We got had it.
Well, that would be great. No, not to say it's a lot. It's just, yeah, that, you mean on this one?
one on each side. We're gonna have another one soon. This is loud and where?
This is better. It was a good black one.
Let me see how they're coming on that.
I think that's what that says.
Bill's gonna wonder why I'm wearing the Jerry Springer shirt. Was it this Alpine garage door?
Oh, oh, thank you. Okay, thanks, Sue. Yeah, let me know what you find. Okay, well, in the meantime.
Okay, turn on the microphones. This meeting's back in session. Next is the ordinance on second reading. Can we get a motion to get that on the table?
Motion to approve on, I believe I already did.
We already did?
We did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
finally.
We've done the motion?
It's on the table.
It's on the table.
It's been
All right.
seconded.
It's been seconded. Let's have a discussion.
Okay.
So I emailed it to everybody because it is very long and I didn't want to print it, but that is what you're approving, which is exactly the same as this.
Thank you.
And you printed out one copy?
Yeah, it was Jeremy's suggestion to print out one copy rather than print out multiple copies.
It was also to email us all.
I did email.
Oh, okay, so we can at least see it, the one we can look at it and,
Andrea, here's a copy if you want to look at it real quick and pass it down. We'll start there.
This is a copy of the ordinance?
Of the ordinance?
no, the
Yeah,
letter.
it's on the print.
The mayor's grabbing it right
He's
now.
grabbing it now. He's got to sign it.
Which I think are both one and the same. This still says Timberview Estates and Alpine Lakes.
Thanks for all your help. Okay, is there any discussion while everyone's reading through that?
Yes. Who wants to start?
Go ahead if you have something you'd like to
Sure,
add.
I do have something
Yep.
to say. Well, I first want to just acknowledge that you've worked really closely with planning and zoning, and I really respect that, and I appreciate it. My comments have nothing to do with your development. My comments just have to do with the development that's added with high density and large acreage in general. Unfortunately, we've had an incredible amount of annexation lately. In the past year, I've lost count of how many acres we've annexed in. So to me, since we have no water and wastewater study at this point in time, those are going to come next year, it's really difficult to look at build out, and it's really difficult to look at capacity. I base a lot of my decisions on after the build out, which could happen as quickly or as slowly as construction costs and motivations and investments. But what does that look like as an infrastructure impact to our town? So if that takes us to max capacity or over capacity, now suddenly I'm trying to explain to residents why by annexing in a parcel that is not town land to begin with, we're going to have to expedite increasing our capacity to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. I know that I've spoken with some developers that are within incorporated Alpine, and they already have high-density plans. So my biggest question is, how do we service residents that are already within town boundaries and have waited and saved? And what does it look like for future developments? Who do we have to say no to until we suddenly spend $23 million to increase our infrastructure? We also, with those previous annexations, because we're just now talking about impact fees, we don't have any revenue to offset that impact further down. So I think we talk about this, I think every annexation has to be a win for the developer, but it has to be a win for Alpine as well. And at this point in time, those revenue offsets, I'm not seeing that. And I'm not willing to sacrifice the well-being and the costs of residents of Alpine and say, I'm sorry, we've already annexed in a parcel. We can't afford to put you on our system. It's going to be a number of years until we can bump up capacity. So those are my only concerns surrounding this. It's just because it's a large parcel and it's higher density or mixed use. And we don't have any master plan to dictate that. So I certainly don't want an annexation to come at the cost of Alpine residents and ask them to foot the bill for something that, yes, it absolutely gives them some benefits, but in the long run, how are we going to afford that and how are residents going to afford that? So those are my thoughts.
Is any other comments? We're going to have are you
Print
still
two.
reading it?
Okay, that's okay. Yes, we'll hopefully have some
Are
clarification.
you still working on that, or do you want to pass it down? Yeah, thanks.
Is it just one copy?
There's just one copy. We can make
That's
a
okay,
quick
I've
copy
read
if you
it.
do.
Thank you.
Oh, you don't have I was gonna say,
There's
Monica
not
did email
hyperlink
it to us.
Yeah. But it doesn't say second reading, but we'll just have, if there's no changes, then. Yeah, it looks like the same document. Any other comments on second reading? With no,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
just as I said before, it sounds like you already talked to Bob, but I definitely make sure that you do have permission from the HOA of approval, because at least from the conversation I had earlier, there's a differencing of thought and opinion.
Yeah, I think we still have some time to get that stuff dialed in. It's just obviously kind of new information coming in just today. So it sounds like as long as you have that approval or we kind of figure that out, then everything should be on track. Any other comments, questions for the developer?
No, P&Z plans to do theirs, obviously. Yep.
Is there any other?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's that's all I've heard. I've heard nothing but cooperation.
I'm just not familiar with the master plan of the county, so I just want to
No, you'll have time to look that up.
That's what's throwing everyone. That's what's throwing something that's actually not gonna happen.
Right.
Right.
That map is been totally.
It is confusing why we even have to deal with that, but, is there any other public comment? Anyone want to say anything? Please.
So one observation to Emily's comments. You're already committed to this one on sewer and water. You have an agreement with credits of whatever, and I haven't read and don't know the details of it. But this is already committed, and so why it shouldn't be in the town? My limited mind is, if you're going to have sewer and water from the town, you ought to be in the town. Then you get to pay the other mills, property tax, the sales tax comes back because population goes up. If you were bringing it in and looking for more capacity, yeah, but this one's already committed. This is part of what you've already committed to, is what I understand.
And that's
so
part
that's-
of what we're looking at, because the agreement is over 60 pages long, and there's multiple amendments, so
Totally agree, but whatever it
we're
is,
gonna check.
whatever it is, you're
Right.
committed to it as a town because you signed an agreement. And so why not have those benefits of controlling the development from a town standpoint is what I'm saying. I think the sewer and water is already, whether they develop inside the town or outside of the town, you're committed to the sewer and water. It's done. Now, knowing what that capacity is and everything, I agree.
Right.
The studies ought to be done so that you understand what capacities and when you're going to have to enlarge it. But what I'm saying, the commitment is there whether they stay in the county and build
Right.
or whether they come in the town to build. And being in the town, my observation is then you have much more control over what gets developed.
Right. And that's a positive. That's always the positive. That's the
Yeah,
biggest
it-
positive.
To me, the
Okay.
negative side of that is you don't get the 150% of
Right.
fees, you only
Yeah.
get the regular fees. But
Yeah.
I think the trade-off for the 5 mills in that is probably, I mean, I haven't done the
Yeah.
math, but I'll bet it's somewhat close.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, just an
Hang on.
observation on this particular annexation. Don't disagree with you
Right.
on new annexations that don't have an agreement like this in place. Then we are looking at additional capacities that have to be thought about.
Yeah, we
Just an observation.
gave them a will serve letter back in 2018 or something,
It's not
right?
a Wilson letter, you have a memorandum of, you have an agreement.
Right, so that happened a long, long time ago.
It-
Yeah.
But it's not just a will serve letter, it's a
Agreement.
signed agreement by the town and the developer.
Right.
That X amount of sewer and water.
I guess my,
Make sense?
yes, but my point is.
I'm looking at it.
Engineers, a long time ago, said, you've got the capacity to do it, and that's why they moved forward. And they put in all that infrastructure, whatever, there was credits that happened, the previous administration, all that stuff happened, and now we're at the place where I think it's the most important place where we get to say, now come into the town, and we get to have the benefits that you just very eloquently described, and that's kind of how I feel. I would much rather have them in the town and have a say in what it looks like than have them outside the town. So,
Well, and Marlo, what we're checking on, because there are so many pages and so many amendments, is how those credits work. So that is what Jim is taking a look at. So I have a full understanding of it.
And I think
It's a lot of
being
paperwork.
educated about these things, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't.
No,
I'm just saying, whatever the agreement is, it's already an agreement.
right.
Yeah.
So having this development in the town, to me, makes just logical sense, because then you get it. So,
thank you.
I'll be quiet.
Any
No,
other
I
further
appreciate
comment?
that, Marlo.
With no further comment, all those in favor on second reading of ordinance number 2024-8 Alpine Lakes annexation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
It's 4-1 with one dissenting vote. Okay, moving on to master plan RFP.
And it looks like after, so what I had Sarah do late today, so we had that very long RFP that I know, Mr. Mayor, you were
Struggling.
with. And frankly, both Sarah and I struggled with how to do that. So we were both way more comfortable with the minimalistic RFP for impact and capacity fees. Honestly, I don't see a benefit to the long drawn out. So,
Well, this is for the master plan
yeah,
first.
so I think when she added it, I don't think she published it.
So you're saying what I see here is for the second one?
I don't think she published it, so it's not attached.
No, yeah,
It's
it's
attached now. You reattached it.
It's
So
here.
whatever I did, fix that.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Well,
It's right here.
that's why I
Then we
said to
can
him, I
show it
wasn't
on the
sure why it
screen.
Yep,
wasn't
let me
showing.
turn it on.
No, you did fix it
It wasn't
here in your
able to
office.
find it. and
So
I
just
read
so
it.
everyone knows, this is for the master plan request for proposal, and we had a document that was 15 pages long, asking for everything under the sun. And then I think we kind of came to the conclusion that we don't know what we don't know, and if we say it needs to be this, in this type box, they may come back and say, but why didn't you think of this, or why didn't you add this? So I think that's why we ended up with this kind of scaled down version.
I think it's their responsibility to tell us what they think we need based on the information. we've
Exactly.
given them.
And it's not in this document at all how much we have budgeted for, because we want them
Yes.
to come back and say, what we think you should get is X, or X plus what we have budgeted. So I think this is probably a better way to go about it. Does anyone have any comments on that? Please, come on up. This is the Marlo Scherbel hour.
Just sit over.
You're on a roll, Marlo. Keep it up.
So is this master plan, is this for the entire community, or is this just a specific area?
No, this is a master plan for the whole Alpine, greater Alpine, and this is our chance to take into consideration some of these other things that have come up. We're gonna designate, like, we want the school, and we expect this,
Gotcha,
and,
gotcha.
yeah, so,
Mostly a curiosity question of
Yep.
what the scope of this master plan was looking at.
The
You're
scope-
looking at the whole
greater Alpine area is what,
Okay.
the scope of this RFP would be, and of course, it's going to include, zoning, recommendations, and roads, and trails, and bike paths, and places we should be focusing on, annexations and all that stuff. But we didn't want to limit any of that, so we thought, get to this really simple document. Has everyone had a chance to read it? Are you guys fine with that? Because if you are, we'll get it sent out tomorrow to anyone
Yeah.
who is interested, and we just want to
I
get
think
it
we
moving
can
forward.
send that out. I think that hits the main points.
Yeah,
And emphasizes public engagement.
okay. Any other further comment? So did we get it? I'm sorry.
didn't think
We're
we
getting
did.
late. Did we get a motion on the
We
table?
didn't even get a motion.
Okay,
No,
let's
we
do it.
didn't.
I make a motion to approve the issuance of the request for proposals for the develop of the master plan.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of said motion, say aye.
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 Thanks, Marlo. Yeah,
Thanks, Trevor.
appreciate it. Okay, next is the RFP for the impact fee study. I think this one is similar and short.
Right.
And what we're looking for here is consultants to give us their recommendation on what the towns should be charging for impact fees. These are related to basically building infrastructure or connecting future infrastructure to the town. For example, the mega well is a huge need for the town of Alpine, and we need to get it connected to our current water system. So I would suggest one of the first things that we would do is charge an impact fee for anyone coming in that would help pay for the connection of the mega well, for example. So, but we just need someone, a third party, to tell us what that needs to be.
And we're just saying water, wastewater facilities. We're not talking about road impact fees or.
Correct.
There were some options, so I was just curious what
Yeah.
we wanted to include.
So, I assumed at the discussion, and obviously we can edit this in any way you see, that we were gonna start with those two. Every additional one that we add, we can anticipate an increasing total cost of about $10,000.
Right.
And so, so I thought our conversation, the work
Okay.
session was, let's start here, but obviously if you wanted, we want to do more, we can. It's going to be about 3 to 4 months for this, and kind of the goals are radio read meter transition, rewriting utility building ordinance, and the sewer ordinance, the old sewer ordinance, and hopefully an impact fee study, that we can time this in a way that it comes all at the same time, and that we just kind of make an upset one time and then move on. Do you know what I mean? So, because I do foresee there could be a lowering of connection fees for sewer through this process. So connection fees could actually lower, but you would
Okay.
add impact fees to
Let's-
go back.
Let's keep
So,
moving
yeah.
forward, yeah. So is that fine?
Yeah.
Everyone's
can start
on the
there.
same page? Okay. And we'll figure out if we need to
Add any additional
roads and all that stuff. I'm sure we'll
elements.
figure that out later, because we're
Okay.
going to have to adjust the budget to do that anyways. So,
Make a motion to approve the issuance of the request for proposals for the impact fee study.
Second.
we have a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? As written, we will send that out tomorrow. All those in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Next, funds transfer for, let me get rid of this. Funds transfer for Melvin Brewing. Would someone like to,
Motion to transfer money from the Water Reserve Fund to operating account for the amount of $7,746.34 on August 12th, 2024.
Second.
we have a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion. Monica, just tell us real quickly what this is regarding.
So, historically, Melvin Brewing used to deposit ACH, their monthly bill for water, directly to the water operating account. They were given notice during the consolidation, don't do that anymore. Deposit to this account. They have a new person. Nobody told her that. And so she deposited to the
Oh, I
old
see.
ACH.
Okay.
She
So we're just
ACH'd
moving
it
it
to
to
what
the
is
appropriate
now our water reserve account.
Okay.
So what I set up was, when we did that, was that you must take action to move money out.
Right.
So,
Okay.
This is really
That's
simple.
simple.
It's
Yeah.
like an accounting error.
It is.
Normally, we wouldn't even discuss this, but
no,
we wanna
I
be-
would have just fixed it, but
We want to be transparent.
we say by law, you have to vote on it to
Yep.
move money.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next is code enforcement officer appointment. So we hired Chantal, is it Chantal?
Chantal.
Chantal Heiner. She's awesome, and I look forward to, have you met her yet?
No.
Okay, so I look forward to everyone meeting her. She's going to do a great job. This is something that we've kind of been missing for a few months, so we're super excited about that. But we need a motion to appoint her as the code enforcement officer.
Make a motion to appoint Chantel Heiner as code enforcement officer for the town of Alpine.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion?
She would be,
Yes. So, she was hired on a part-time basis. She has, other responsibilities, family. We thought, she has other businesses. We thought having someone up to like 30 hours a week is what would really fit for us, and she's open to that. Of course, there's going to be a lot of getting up to speed with reading all the ordinances and a lot of like book learning time, but she's already been to work on Monday morning and is out there doing her job. So as far as, I don't think there's obviously not going to be a set amount of hours or whatever that she's going to work, but up to 30 is what she was, her employment contract, so to speak, is up to 30. And then you never know. As the town grows, we may feel like this is a position, more like a full-time position. I don't know if she'd be interested in or not, but
When would she start?
she's already started.
She started
on Monday.
last week.
Oh, okay.
She won't have set hours for days?
Nope.
So she is available Monday through Friday unless she's on vacation. There is a Town of Alpine code enforcement officer cell phone. Her cards are on the front counter, and you can utilize that. You can utilize email. Her position, by the nature of it, it really requires her to be able to respond
right.
almost 7 days a week, and we're limiting her, I apologize for correcting you, Mr. Mayor, to average of 25, not to exceed 25 hours a week over a course of a year. That is the amount that you guys had budgeted.
Right.
And so in order to do that, there has to be some flexibility built in, because if she has to come in on Saturday to chase down somebody's loose dog, that's going to mean she's not going to be here the following, maybe Monday or Tuesday, I don't know.
Right.
So there is flexibility, but she is available by email, by the code enforcement email, by the phone number, and I think you're going to find her to be incredibly responsive.
Yeah.
We've already seen her be incredibly responsive.
That's amazing.
So,
I'm really
just to
excited.
clarify, if somebody has, let's just say, an issue with a dog, phone call, email, all that stuff goes directly to her. She will respond if she's in the area, fine. She's also responsible for going around and finding code violations. So she will be driving throughout the town in a nondescript car, her own personal car. It's not something that has the lights on or whatever. But yeah, so as many of you probably have already met, Steve Gilcrease, who was our previous code enforcement officer, did an amazing, great job getting us up and going, moved on to other position, and Chantal is going to be filling in big shoes, and she's already proved that she's up to the task. So we're really excited about it. But any other discussion on that? Have we had the vote yet? I'm so lost.
No, we haven't. Motion's been made,
It's been
second.
Okay.
No vote.
seconded.
Thank you, Frank.
Yes, so any other discussion? None. All those in favor of said motion, hiring the code enforcement officer, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Last but not least, well, we've got a table item, I guess. We have the sale of surplus equipment, the Mack truck. The town of Alpine had a meeting last night, town council meeting, and they voted to buy our Mack truck. So our surplus can now be someone else's surplus.
Somebody else.
So we're kind of excited about that. But we need, because we are selling it to another municipality, we're not required to have another bid and bid opening for this. Is that correct, Mr. Sanderson?
No.
That's not correct?
No, it is correct.
Okay, so we can sell it to another municipality. We don't have,
Sell it to another municipality without bidding.
okay, good. So
No,
it's,
you don't have to bid.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we're all good. I would,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, please.
can I make a motion?
Yes.
Make a motion to sell the 2012 Mack truck to the town of Afton, Wyoming for the amount of $101,375.59.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion?
So for the year plus that we've used it, we will only lose about $17,000 from what
We
we
paid 118.
Right. This really was the
Some-
best
118
case scenario.
something. Might have been 118.5.
I think it
Yeah.
was 118.
We got the use
Yeah,
of
right.
it
Cost
for a
of use.
year.
Okay.
Didn't pay that much, so
Yeah.
we're just happy that somebody
I'm
else
happy
in
that
it.
they can reclaim it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
that there's
It's a great
ability.
truck.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Hopefully we can offset some of that moving forward with some of our purchases.
Offset.
The loss.
The loss, because that was not budgeted.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But, all right. all those in favor of said motion to sell the Mack truck, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. All right, on to tabled items. I would be interested to know if anyone really wants to take this off the table.
There's no new information, no new anything.
No.
Yeah.
Sue submitted something, I think. We haven't had a chance to release.
Yeah, I think the intention is to work with planning and zoning and clarify a few things. We have that work session next week on
Next
the,
Tuesday.
on the 20, what day is it?
24th.
24th. So we'll be working with them on some of these things to clarify the noise ordinance, and we'll get it for a second reading hopefully next month. So yeah, we'll take no action on that. In general, we'll just move on to public comment. Does anyone have public comment?
He does.
You, go ahead, please. Justin, come on up.
How's it going, everybody? Justin Scott. Hey, Mom. Just kidding. I just had a couple comments and maybe one question. My first comment, I was not able to attend the town hall last time when there was a lot of comment about the charter school. I was not able to attend the forum last week. I was out of town. But I guess the one thing I didn't get to see was there was a lot of talk about some parcels of land that the town had allocated for a school. I would just advise you to be very careful of looking at what that parcel was compared to the 23 acres that are being proposed to build this other school. And catch my breath. If the other gentlemen who were here who are proposing this, I would maybe present to them, if they're looking to railroad this through, to maybe seek out some private land that they could build that on themselves, so it wouldn't have to go through this process of voting through the town and all of these other hoops that are being jumped through to try and get this through before next August. I don't know a single family home that can get built in a year. And we're at 9 months. And you have some gentlemen talking about being ready to go next August. Granted, they aren't here. Charter school, there are some reserves that I have. There is no transportation provided. There is no lunch provided to these students, so that when they're saying that we're going to get people coming from Upper Valley, coming to Alpine to come to this school, I disagree with that. If you look at the buses of the amount of students that are in Alpine that transfer from K through 8, I don't think you're going to get 250 students in the town of Alpine that bus to Etna, Thane, and Afton. So I think you need to be very careful about these numbers that they're throwing out to you that they can commit to pay for this school. That's just my opinion. Certainly, the plan looks great. K through 8, they haven't solved the problem of busing our children down to Afton in 9 through 12. There are great schools 10 and 20 miles from here that provide a great education for our children. Does Alpine need a school? Maybe yes. I don't necessarily think that it's in the best interest of town land to build a school. Let them build it on their own private land, because it is a quote unquote, granted it's a nonprofit, but somebody's going to make some money off of this. If you look at some of the people who are proposing this, there is money to be made. And I don't necessarily know if it's in the best interest of the town to give up their land for their purposes. Second comment, I think the music should be from 7 to 9. It was mentioned from 6 to 8. People work late. There aren't a lot of kids there anyway. It's in the summertime. Why not let us watch the sunset as the music's finishing up from 7 to 9? My last question was, I just didn't know, I've kind of heard a couple different things as who is responsible for the cleanup of the boat ramp on the Alpine boat ramp. Because right now it's inaccessible to motorized traffic.
Yeah, so just to clarify, we have an agreement with the BOR, or is it the,
National Forest
is it National Forest?
and the county.
Who's our
Isn't it
agreement with?
National Forest?
It's Snake River Fund, BOR contracted with Palisades, Caribou Targhee, Palisades District, Forest Service, and Lincoln County.
Okay.
It's very involved, and yes, the town of Alpine's responsibility is to try to keep it as accessible as possible. There is a moving dock that we go down there when the water's up, and we move it back and forth or up and down or whatever, so it's part of that. Right now, it's a total mess because the water is so low. I mean, I don't understand why someone would want to put a boat in. It's basically a river right now.
Well, you search and rescue, or you run the canyon through the Narrows and you take out at the Alpine boat ramp.
Right. Okay, so search and rescue, if there was a need between here and Cottonwood, for example, then I think they could put in there.
Right.
I think they're also more used to putting in at Cottonwood for anything like
Right.
up and down the river.
I guess it was just brought to my attention that I didn't know if the town had any obligation to clean that ramp.
We do. And
Okay.
it sounds like we had some communication gap, so we apologize about that. It's my understanding that we are taking care of it, and so thank you for bringing it to our attention. If we're not taking care of it, I'll make sure tomorrow that the proper people know they need to do what they can.
All right, cool.
So, yeah, thank
All right,
you, Justin.
thank you.
And we appreciate your comments. I know you were out of town, so yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
You guys know the 5 Bs, right?
Say it.
Be brief, brother. Be brief.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Because I wanted to check the legalities. It's only till Labor Day.
Okay, so just a clarification. Our clerks just pulled the contract out, and it says, where does it say it, Monica?
In the middle of the page it was. That the town of Alpine shall be responsible.
Okay, the town of Alpine shall be responsible for removing accumulated silt from the ramp on an as-need basis during the summer season, typically from Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Typically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, we're still going to do what's right as well as we can. But I guess in general, it does become, with all the other things we're preparing for this time of year before winter, things like that kind of go to the, we can't stay on top of everything. But thank you for bringing that to our
Yes.
attention. And it has been brought to my attention by other people. So we'll see what we can do about getting it cleaned up maybe one more time before the end of the season. But I would entertain a motion of adjournment. If there's no other public comment. Yes, please. Sorry. I'll give you your chance. You stayed to the end.
I'm Andrew Brooks, and Pauline and I live in Alpine full-time. So really my only comment, and this is really the first meeting I've been to, and you guys are obviously put a lot of time, effort, and thought into what goes on here, and largely from a volunteer perspective, which certainly everybody has great appreciation for. I think following up on what this gentleman said, I really implore the town, because you're sort of at a nexus right now where a lot of things are going to change and hinge upon the decisions that are made by the town right now that really are going to affect this area for generations. And I think there's, I can't implore enough importance on you guys as a council to really think through the master plan of what you're entertaining as to where things go. I've been coming to Alpine initially since 2011, 12, and then been here really full-time the last 5 years. And it's been sort of my observation that there's kind of been a hodgepodge type of approach to how this town has been developed. You see an RV park pop up here, you hear this is going to be, something else. And now here, the town's going to build a school on town land, which may be a good idea. I don't know enough about it. But I think there's a finite amount of land here. I think the way the town is thought about as you go forward is critically important right now. So the right kind of master planning that goes in, I think, is really going to inure to the benefit of generations in the future. And as far as how you use town land, I'd look at riverfront land as sort of boardwalk and Park Place. I think that's probably amongst the most valuable asset land that the town has. And I'd probably think about if the town does want to put a school there, is that the optimal place? Or is that going to really create more value for the town down the road, which you may come to find if you do a master plan with something that's thought out very well and planned, and you have a lot of resources around here to lean on. It's not just really upon yourself. So that's really my comment, and thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thanks, Andrew. Well, we appreciate everyone coming and staying to the bitter end. I would entertain a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you so much. Guys, can turn off your microphones. 10:04. We would have made it if it weren't for Andrew. Yeah. Yes. Hey,